Why, some say the moon. Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon.
This is a story about a rivalry a century old, dominated by the burnt orange, often ending in tears of blue.
The Longhorns have won the game.
The Longhorns dismantle the Owls time after time, again and again.
Ricky Williams high to the end zone, touchdown Longhorns!
Losing to their Houston rivals just twice in a half-century.
Touchdown Texas! Say goodnight to this one!
And this Texas team is no different, with title dreams behind a Heisman hopeful.
Sam pushes forward, touchdown Texas!
So why does Rice play Texas in football? Because in 1965, the Owls overcame a seemingly insurmountable deficit. Because in 1994, the blue and gray shocked Texas in front of a nation.
Rice wins! Rice wins!
There have been many great upsets in the 150 years of college football.
It is officially the biggest upset in the history of the Memphis program and their first win ever over Tennessee.
The Mountaineers of Appalachian State have just beaten the Michigan Wolverines in the Big House.
Old Dominion stuns 13th ranked Virginia Tech.
So is it really crazy to believe it can happen again?
It's our turn. This is the year. It will finally happen.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
7 years later, a crew trained in Texas made one giant leap for mankind. Proof that the impossible is just that, until it's done.
With a Texas-sized thank you for the Lone Star State native Bob Schieffer, we welcome you to the Space City, 57 years to the week after President Kennedy's monumental speech at Rice Stadium. Down the street at NRG, college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Geico, the 12th-ranked Texas Longhorns from the Big 12 against the Rice Owls from Conference USA. With Jenny Dell, Aaron Taylor, I'm Carter Blackburn. In case you didn't hear, Texas played Rice last Saturday. Texas played LSU last Saturday, right? Is that what happened?
That's it.
LSU, Texas, a terrific college football game. LSU obviously wins. And so Texas coach Tom Herman says every day, go 1-0. And that has been the mission this week. That's the mission tonight against the Rice Owls.
The best thing you can do to get that loss behind you is to simply go out and play well. We talked to Tom Herman earlier in the week. He said Tuesday and Wednesday's practice were phenomenal. You and I were out there and saw practice with our own eyes. It was pretty frisky on Thursday. They looked crisp. No long faces. I think this team is ready to play. Now, it is Big 12 play for them to start next week against Oklahoma State, so this is a proverbial trap game, but I expect them to play well. I'll be shocked if they don't.
Now, versus LSU, Sam Ehlinger, terrific numbers. He has graded out very well.
He really has improved year over year as a drop-back passer, the 3 A's of a quarterback. He was accurate last year, but now he's anticipating, looking the safeties off, creating open windows. The anticipation again here. This is Jake Smith, the true freshman, the wide receiver that catches a touchdown. He throws this ball before Smith is out of his break into an extremely small window. The short to intermediate passing game has always been there for him, but his arm strength, he looks stronger than he did a year ago, and I think he's going to play well enough to have the Longhorns ranked higher than 12th at season's end.
Now, meanwhile, for Rice, their quarterback situation took a very scary turn in last week's game versus Wake Forest. For more, here's Jenny Dell.
Yeah, Cardi, it was an incredible, scary moment for Owls quarterback Wiley Green. It was in that first quarter against Wake Forest. He went to dive into the end zone and was met by multiple defenders. He was down on the field for nearly 10 minutes as he was getting medical attention before he was carted off on a backboard and head to the hospital. He was released later that evening and was diagnosed with a neck strain. As you can see, Green is on the sideline this evening, but he is unavailable to play. That means Harvard graduate transfer Tom Stewart is getting the start. Stewart Stewart told me it was difficult to control the emotions last week, seeing a brother go down and then having the challenge of going in and executing. And guys, Stewart admitted that this Rice offense is complicated. It's very different than what he's used to running at Harvard. But after a great week of practice, he's ready to go out there and compete in the starting role tonight.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Mike Bloomgren, now in his second season as Rice head coach, began his career as a GA for Bobby Bowden. And Tom Herman, the former Rice offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, now in his third season coaching the Texas Longhorns. AT, as you pointed out, said practice this week phenomenal and physical. So Texas versus Rice for the 95th time. Short kickoff handled by Devin Duvernay inside the 10-yard line, tripped up at the 15, and he will be dropped inside the 20. So a good special team start for the Rice Owls. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A starting lineups, and we begin with Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger, the junior out of Austin's Westlake High School. Pete Thamel's terrific piece for Yahoo. Ehlinger told the coaches he takes the blame for the LSU loss, even though all those numbers are great. This week, the voice of putting it behind him told us we don't have anyone on the offense who doubts our ability after over 500 yards of offense versus LSU. Keontae Ingram in the backfield. Texas expected to have Daniel Young available again tonight. Ehlinger goes to Keontae Ingram, makes the grab on first down. Ingram across the 20-yard line, across the 25-yard line for the Longhorns. A chance to look at the Texas offensive starters.
Carter, you were talking about this Texas offense being physical. Wide receiver Devin Duvernay represents that better than anybody. Really had a breakout game last week against LSU. 12 catches, 154 yards, but twice he trucked Grant Delpit.
Ehlinger with a handoff, and the Rice Owls load up. Aldridge leads the way, the tackle on Ingram. Let's look at the Rice defense.
Anthony Ekpe for the Rice Owls. He's their best pass rushing threat. If Rice is going to win this game defensively, they've got to get after Ehlinger a little bit. Ehlinger is a rhythm thrower. They have to disrupt that rhythm.
On 2nd and 11. Ehlinger, plenty of time. Check down. That's Ingram on the edge. Keontae Ingram goes rolling to near the 40-yard line. Is marked short about 2 yards. Chamberlain gets the stop. So 3rd down for the Longhorns.
What we're already seeing from the Owls is deep coverage. They don't want to get beat over their head, so they're keeping everything inside of them. So we're seeing Ehlinger smartly take those passes with the flares out to the outside edges as they try to get that 3rd down. It's going to be very, very close. With the spot, looks like they probably got it with the naked eye.
Just enough. Ingram gets just enough. Schumann on the stop. 1st and 10, Texas.
Great to see Ingram make the first catch on the first play of the game. He had that fateful drop on 4th down. Haunted him a little bit of that game and earlier this week. That's got to give him some great confidence here early.
Teammates had to be there for Keontae Ingram this week for sure. Ehlinger out of the gun. And off again. Ingram, and the Owls stuff Keontae Ingram on 1st down. A gain of just 1. And there's Blaze Aldridge again, the junior from Kissimmee, Florida. Weak side linebacker along with Trey Schumann on the stop.
What I love about Aldridge is his ability to sift through the trash. He can navigate bodies. He's got great instincts. Sees ball, gets ball, hit the hole immediately there for a nice short gain on 1st down.
Ingram motions out, so empty in the backfield for Texas. 5 wide.
Down low, they got to get that sorted out.
False start on Texas, with Rice bringing pressure off the edge.
Offense number 68. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Derek Kerstetter, who played so great last week. So Colin Johnson out this week, hamstring, expected back versus Oklahoma State. One of the big play threats on the outside, unavailable tonight for Texas. And again, expected back next week versus Oklahoma State. After the false start, 2nd and 14. Ellinger, Duvernay on 2nd and 14 on the screen. Again, the Owls rally to the football. Elijah Garcia, the nose tackle, makes the stop, forcing 3rd down again.
This is a great opportunity for the Owls defense. They got him behind the sticks on 1st down. This is a 3rd and long situation. They've struggled mightily on 3rd down, but Sam Ellinger hasn't. He was perfect this season on 3rd down and 7+. The Rice Owls stay true to form. They will bring some pressure here and try to disrupt the timing of the short, precise, quick pass game for the Longhorns.
Empty again on 3rd and 8. Ellinger, quick hitter. Duvernay makes the grab across midfield for a Texas 1st down. To Duvernay in the slot for a gain of 9.
Duvernay has such strong hands. He sees the pressure. It's an immediate hot throw. He makes the adjustment well. The ball's a little bit behind him. But when I talk about physicality, we mentioned it in the open, trucking Grant Delpit, who a lot of people think is going to be the first safety off the board a week ago.
Ellinger 1st and 10. Play action, complete again at the sticks. That's a 1st down, and it is Malcolm Epps, the redshirt freshman who's from Houston, 6'6".
Great protection that time. Ellinger sitting back there eating sandwiches, but you see the arm strength there, putting the ball precisely on the out to move the sticks.
Epps gets the start tonight in place of Colin Johnson. On 1st and 10. Time to throw. Ellinger has room. It closes quickly, so short gain. Aldridge forces Ellinger out on 1st down.
That time Rice only brings 3, but they drop 8, so Ellinger had nowhere to throw the football. Aldridge ends up chasing them out of bounds. Clearly the strategy early on for the Rice Owls, and Brian Smith, the defensive coordinators, hey, let's bend but not break. Keep everything in front of us. We're going to drop 8 and make him read and think his way to completions.
10th play of the opening drive. Ingram in the backfield is dropped by Blaze Aldridge. It's a loss of 2. Bring up 3rd and long again.
Aldridge just does a nice job. We talked about him saying see ball, get ball. The anticipation it takes as a linebacker to get downhill like that is tremendous. Great job. Another 3rd and long situation. Ellinger completed the last one, a perfect 8 for 8 on the season. Let's see what he dials up here.
Ingram motioned out, top of the screen, 3rd and 12. Perfect balance on the drive thus far. Ellinger on 3rd and 12. Over the caught. Epps makes the grab on the outside. So Epps makes his 2nd catch of the drive. This one's a gain of 16, and the Longhorns again convert on 3rd and long.
Epps playing for Colin Johnson. Big physical wide receivers, man. I got to tell you, that's one of the things that I think stood out to me the most when we were at practice is just how good this team looks, how physical they are. Even their receivers got muscles on top of their muscles.
O'Shawn Johnson in the backfield now with Ellinger. Perfect start, 6 for 6. Duvernay in motion. Fake it, and now Ellinger toss back. Johnson out of the backfield and into the end zone. Touchdown, Texas. Roshan Johnson, who moved from quarterback to running back because of the bevy of injuries, now in his 3rd game in the Texas backfield as a running back, into the end zone.
That's a touchdown, partner. They got the call right on the field. The ball breaks the plane. The bottom of the hand can touch, and you're not ruled down. It's a beautifully run and executed wheel route. Caught Rice in man coverage. Johnson was all alone and gets his 1st touchdown. Converted quarterback. Got to feel pretty good about catching a touchdown in the 1st quarter of his game on the road.
Cameron Dicker on for the PAT, so the extended touchdown drive to get it started ends up with Roshan Johnson in the end zone on the TD pass from Sam Ellinger. Texas fight Saturday night, H-Town. Longhorns in the end zone. Seven 7-0 start for Texas. Sam Ellinger on the drive. 7 for 7. Has significant TD pass, his 9th of the year, and now 45 career passing touchdowns. That is 5th in school history, and he passes Vince Young. So Sam Ehlinger leads. I go 3 for 3 on 3rd down on that opening drive as well for the Texas Longhorns. 7-0 start for Texas. Let's take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by Hormel.
Well, Texas offensively, they need to finish drives in the red zone. That was the thing that gave them a problem a week ago against LSU. And defensively, they've got to finish plays. They were so close on so many opportunities. For the Owls, they've got to convert 3rd downs. They were bad a year ago, haven't started this year out strongly. They want to play keep away a little bit, so that's critical. And defensively, they have to limit explosives. We've seen the strategy from defensive coordinator Smith already. They're not trying to get beat deep behind their heads, but they lose their eyes on a wheel route and man coverage, and 20-something yards later, the Longhorns up 7-0.
Cameron Dickers kickoff. Austin Trammell back. It'll be a touchback. Rice gets it at the 25-yard line to start. So we take a look at our Chick-fil-A starting lineups for the Owl offense. Beginning with Tom Stewart, the graduate transfer from Harvard, starts his first game for the team he grew up rooting for. His dad, Bruce, Rice alum, class of 1978, would bring the family down from Dallas to Houston to watch Rice play football and baseball. Biggest game of his career led Harvard to a win over Yale at Fenway Park last November. 3 touchdown passes. Crimson won by 18 points. That is a big win under your belt. And then graduate transfer, his MBA program starts October 12th. So it's all about football right now for Tom Stewart. Stewart, handoff. Walter breaks it across the 40-yard line. Aston Walter with a gain of 15 on the first snap for the Owls.
Going to be a fold block on the backside. The tackle's going to get up to the 2nd level. It's that block right there that springs Walter through the defense. Running the football, something that Mike Bloomgren wants to do. He wants to punch him in the gut, body blow him, tenderize. So meet tenderizer, but then take some deep shots and test these cornerbacks early. When you can run the football effectively like that on 1st down, that completely opens up the pass game. Great way to start.
The Owls in no rush. You have Williams at fullback, Walter at tailback. And Aston Walter on the left side. Nothing doing on this 1st down carry. Mitchell flies in to make the stop. Let's take a look at the Rice Owl starting offense.
Keep your eye on wide receiver Austin Trammell. He's a consistent, sure-handed wide receiver. He can run after the catch. He's a big 3rd down target, and that's an area Bloomgren again told us he wanted to emphasize. So keep your eye on 10 in critical situations.
Play clock down at 10, and this is the way it will be all night for Rice. This is not the same Rice team that snapped it 96 times against the Longhorns in 2015. Stewart takes off, slides, gets a few. Let's take a look at the Texas defense.
The defensive end, Malcolm Roach, number 32. He's the senior captain of this defense. He's the guy that makes that defense go. He's aggressive, he's vocal, he can set the edge in the run game. Not their best pass rusher, but he can get after it a little bit. He's a force off that outside edge, and the guys behind him feed on him. So with B.J. Foster, their nickelback and safety not being out there today, a lot of that vocal leadership and production is going to fall squarely on Roach's shoulders.
Also without DeMarvion Overshawn, who's out with a back injury. Tom Herman saying week to week. 3rd and 6 for the Owls. Here comes the pressure. Stewart on the roll, releases on 3rd and 6. It is incomplete. Trammell the intended target. There's Malcolm Roach putting the pressure on Tom Stewart.
That's exactly what you want to do on 3rd down as a defensive end, is just get around your guy, keep going. You got to be careful there with Roach. Remember, he got a penalty for roughing the passer last week against LSU that cost his defense some critical field position. Got to be careful there.
Although I might say a questionable roughing the passer. Maybe. Nunez stumbles a bit, gets it away. Jake Smith is back. Smith catches it on the fly and slides to the 10. Fair catch. 46-yard punt from Adam Nunez. So back at the 10. 7-0 start. Texas versus Rice for the 95th time. Big 12 versus Conference USA, with an old Southwest Conference flair in Houston.
on Rice. And well, guys, Tom Herman knows a thing or two about Rice football, and that's because he spent 2 seasons as offensive coordinator at Rice under longtime coach David Bailiff. Coach Herman told me that he owes his career to Coach Bailiff. He said, I was 29 years old, a wide receivers coach at Sam Houston State, just got married, had a 10-month-old, and the head coach retired, and I lost my job. That year was 2005. Bailiff was at Texas State. He needed a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator. And coach said, I've never even coached quarterbacks or called a play in my life, but he interviewed me, gave me the opportunity, and we set all kinds of records at Texas State. They went together to Rice in 2007, and the rest is history. Guys, Coach told me many of the faces have changed. Clearly the facility is different, but a lot is still the same there. He said he has some of his fondest memories of his time at Rice.
And Jenny, it was a great offense. That was Chase Clement, Jared Dillard, James Casey. I mean, it was one of the more explosive offenses in college football back in 2008. Not a bad start for Sam Ehlinger in this Longhorn offense. 7 for 7. They're backed up from the 10. Keontae Ingram gets the handoff again and gets a gain of 3. Elijah Garcia makes the stop. Ehlinger, perfect. Longest streak to start a game. That's 7 for 7 on the opening drive.
They were 3 for 3 on third down, which it's hard to get better than that. But this run game, the Longhorns only averaging 116 yards per game. This offensive line is arguably the most improved unit on the team. They've been a quiet surprise. Herb Hand, the offensive line coach, doing a tremendous job up front.
Ehlinger effusive in his praise for the offensive line. We talked to him this week, holding up against one of the best pass rushes in the country versus LSU last Saturday.
They wore him out. You look at the starting lineup for LSU this week, a lot of those guys didn't start the game.
Ehlinger 2nd and 7, slips out of the pocket, open field, makes a man miss, and slides to the 25-yard line, near it for a Texas first down.
This is what Tom Herman told us that Ehlinger does best. When the first read's not there, he doesn't bail right away. He goes through his progressions. There he was patient, but with nowhere left to go, he shows you what he does best, and that's run the football.
Had that conversation with offensive coordinator Tim Beck. Says he'll do whatever it takes to win. He likes some of the run game, but we don't want to run him 20 times every game. But he's a guy that takes a hit and seems to get better after some contact. Ehlinger over the middle. That is complete. Epps slips away. Rolls into Rice territory. Inside the 30, there is a flag down. A big start for the big man from Houston, Malcolm Epps. Gain of 49, but a flag is down. Listed 6'6", 245.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Offense number 52. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
That's the left tackle, Samuel Cosme. That was what's known as a run-pass option, an RPO. So the lineman, it's a run call, and they go aggressively. But you can't go any further than down the field for 3 yards. Here he is right here, negating a huge catch and run after the catch.
Defensive coordinators everywhere are cheering. They're always arguing for the flag ineligible on the run-pass option.
It's rare that it gets called, but probably can get called a little bit more than it does.
Wipes out that. Yeah, wipes out the 49-yard play to Epps. Tipped off of Epps' hands and incomplete. Aldridge dislodges it from Malcolm Epps.
Going right back to the well, obviously. Ehlinger feeling pretty good about Epps. That last play worked. Shoot, let's go it again. It's tight man coverage. Epps has shown that he's got pretty strong hands, but thanks to some good tight coverage, Texas looking at 2nd and long. They love their screen game, Carter. Their bubble screens, their tunnel screens. This is a perfect situation to maybe dial one of those up.
First incompletion for Ehlinger. Johnson with them in the backfield. Ehlinger to the air, right back to Epps. First down, Texas. So Malcolm Epps firmly this one, no flags down. Move the chains.
Running a simple corner route. Does a nice job of running upfield and running away from the safety. And again, we're seeing Ehlinger's accuracy. The Longhorns looking methodical here early.
A gain of 18 for Malcolm Epps. Again, Colin Johnson out tonight, hamstring injury. So Epps getting a lot more touches. Johnson in the backfield. He had the touchdown on the wheel route on the opening Texas drive. Aldridge brings pressure up the middle. Johnson shakes his way across the 40-yard line. Johnson Finally brought down by Inichuku after a gain of 7. And Roshan Johnson.
He had a really nice game a week ago. This is just a counter showing you his vision and patience. The coaches felt early on he was hitting the hole too quickly, but he's learning the position as the season goes along, slowing down, proven to be a heck of a weapon back there.
I'm telling you, that's your number 3 quarterback, true freshman, and everyone around Texas is just amazed at how quickly he has transitioned to running back because of the myriad injuries. Moves the chains again on 2nd down, so you're still without Jordan Whittington out at least a month with the sports hernia. Then Kirk Johnson, joint sprain in the shoulder, so he's still out, even though Daniel Young back tonight for Texas, or available tonight for Texas. Still Johnson at the backfield. On 1st and 10, Ellinger deep ball down the seam. It is caught. Jake Smith, touchdown, Texas. 53 yards on the 2nd TD pass tonight from Sam Ellinger. This one to Jake Smith.
This is the 2nd week in a row that the Rice Owls defense has allowed their opponent to start quickly, but Jake Smith had that huge touchdown a week ago. We showed that in the open. Talking to his players and talking with him, he said that catch gave him great confidence. But that vertical passing ability of the Longhorns is legit and on display here once again.
Jake Smith, the first Gatorade National Player of the Year from Arizona, into the end zone as a member of the Texas Longhorns for the 2nd time. The 4th scoring drive this season of 90 yards or more, given up by Rice, all touchdowns. It's Smith to the end zone for the Horns. 14-0 Texas. 2 passing touchdowns for Sam Ellinger. The last one, big one for Jake Smith.
Yeah, here's Jake Smith on the right side of the screen. You're going to see him with just a nice stick in the ground, getting vertical. Gets himself upfield, gets matched up one-on-one with the safety Calderon. What allowed that play to happen was some great eye manipulation by Ellinger, looking the safety over to create that vacated space. Jake Smith takes advantage of it, hits his head on the goalpost.
Jake Smith over 5,000 all-purpose yards at Notre Dame Prep in Scottsdale, Arizona. So he's going to rack up some yards as a Texas Longhorn as well. Dickers kickoff, touchback again to the 25 for the Rice Owls. Step up with Werner Ladder and help football coaches find a cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Visit coach2curemd.org. All right, AT, you're Rice and you run the football. I mean, you get 15 yards the first time. You're running the clock, and yet you're still looking up. By the time you get the football again, it's 14-0 Texas.
They've got 19 total yards. They have to take some deep shots and attack these cornerbacks. They talked about doing it early. They wanted to establish the run first. That's there. But at some point, they got to take a deep shot with play action and try and get some chunk plays.
Tom Stewart tossed. Aston Walter left side trying to get outside. Osai stops him. And then the Longhorns rally. DeAndre Coburn, the redshirt freshman nose tackle there on the stop as well. Still a gain of 3 for Aston Walter on 1st down.
I like watching Coburn play, man. He's kind of a big bowling ball in there. He holds the point. He's got some great vertical push. Uses his hands well. Reminds me of a guy, a baby version of Dan Saliamua that used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs way back in the day. He had one direction that was downhill, and you better buckle your junk when you're blocking 99.
DeAndre Coburn, redshirt freshman from Houston, Westfield High School, like a lot of the Longhorns, a high school All-American. Stewart, the graduate transfer from Harvard, handing off to Aston Walter, who gets a push to make it 3rd and manageable. Gain of 4. Jeffrey McCulloch there on the stop.
McCulloch's one of the many linebackers on this team that have tremendous speed. They can run sideline to sideline, and really watching this team, Orlando's got these guys flying to the football. It's what he wants. They didn't play their best a week ago. They knew that, but they played hard. They gave great effort, and that's what he wanted there. This is critical for the Rice Owls. They've got to do something. Remember, we talked about number 10, Austin Trammell, and him getting the football. Let's see what they dial up here to see if they can convert their first third down.
Trammell in the slot. They throw it to him. It was nearly a pick six. I mean, Colby Boyce jumped that route and nearly had a pick six. Read it all the way that it was coming to number 10.
Looks like we weren't the only ones that were expecting the football to go to Trammell. Boyce, one of the defensive backs and corners that got tested a week ago against LSU. But you're spot on, Carter. He anticipated that. Didn't have the ball skills to bring it home, but they do get themselves up off the field.
Nunez 46 yards on the last punt. Jake Smith, you know how dangerous he is now, back at the punt return, grabs it at the 26. Owls rally the football to bring Jake Smith down inside the 30 after a 42-yard punt. Perfect start for Texas, 14-0 against Rice.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Verizon, the network more people rely on. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Since 1965, the only Rice win over Texas in football on a Sunday night in 1994. Rice, a four-way tie for the Southwest Conference Championship that year. They're going to have to do better against Sam Ellinger tonight if they want to repeat it.
He's picking up right where he left off a week ago against LSU. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, deadly precise. There's the deep ball throw. That is a perfect picture of how Ellinger has improved year over year. And take a look at this drive chart. 9 for 10, 2 touchdowns, 157 yards. Hard to start better than that.
Ellinger on first down. Johnson in the backfield. Boshawn Johnson shakes his way. Stiff arm. First down, Texas. Johnson running hard. Ike Wall shoves him out after a gain of 13.
That was a split flow zone. Watch how Johnson gets the ball patient and boom, puts his foot into the ground and accelerates. That's proof positive as him developing as a running back.
Give it to him again. This time he is wrestled down in the backfield. Into Chuku, the redshirt freshman from Kansas City, makes the stop. Loss of 4. Owls getting aggressive in the backfield.
And Chuku on the right side of the ball. They pull the left tackle. Nobody blocks back on him. That's a bust up front by Texas offensive lineman. You shouldn't have somebody running that clean backside. They've got to get that cleaned up.
It is the 3rd tackle for loss by the Rice defense early.
Rice on that last one brought some middle pressure. They love to blitz in the A and B gaps and cause confusion and disruption inside.
Pressure coming again. Picked up. Ellinger across the middle, dragging Duvernay. Turns it upfield, and Duvernay delivers blows. Tom Herman says he runs angry after he catches the football. Doing it to Rice just like he did against LSU.
He is so physical, so fun to watch. The coaches say he squats over 600 pounds. John Bianco, the SID, didn't believe him, so he went and talked to the strength coach, and he said, that's all we let him do is 600.
Yancey McKnight. Waning seconds of the first quarter. Texas perfect on 3rd down so far. See if they snap it before the quarter on 3rd and 5. Ellinger snaps it. Run pass option. Duvernay has it across midfield. Texas perfect on 3rd down and perfect on offense. A 14-0 start. On the Rice Owls, Sam Ellinger and the Longhorns bringing the 1-0 mantra to Houston, Texas. That's the end of the first quarter. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Geico. 13-0 start for Texas. Couple of touchdown passes for Sam Ellinger. Time now for Step Up Your Game, brought to you by Werner Ladder. Devin Duvernay made the first drive of the season, 5 touches and a touchdown, and then he had the incredible second half versus LSU.
2 touchdowns in that fourth quarter. When you're at your best, when your best is needed, you're a baller. Devin Duvernay is that guy, stepping into the leadership role on a very talented wide receiver room. But when you bring that sort of physicality and toughness to the receiver position, my goodness, take a look at that. Texas, 12 first downs already to Rice's 1, most since 2005 versus Louisiana.
It's more than Texas had first downs in the 2015 meeting. Cade Brewer in the backfield. H-back look now. Play action on first down. First play of the second quarter. Ellinger goes scrambling. Wrestled down from behind. Schumann makes the stop as we check in with Brent Stover in New York.
Fellas, number 5 Oklahoma at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. It's all Sooners on the rollout. Jalen Hurts airs it out for CeeDee Lamb. 39-yard touchdown. Opening quarter. Sooners 17-0 lead.
You know, Texas and OU, they play.
Man, how about Kansas State's win today? Iowa State looking like they got a pretty good defense and a nail-biter right now with Iowa. Could be an interesting Big 12 race this year.
Here's Johnson breaking tackles as he takes it inside the 35. Signaling first down. Texas. Thornton finally makes a stop. Gain of 10.
Split flow zone. You bring your tight end across the formation. Johnson again patient, but look at that hole. This offensive line is doing work up front, and Johnson the beneficiary. And this running game has struggled mightily, only 116 yards per game through their 2 contests. Today is a perfect day for them to try and work on what's been their Achilles heel so far in 2019.
Amazingly, Texas doesn't have a rush over 20 yards yet this season. Take it to Johnson. Ellinger. Here's Johnson out of the backfield. Had the touchdown grab, shaking his way across the 30-yard line. Chamberlain finally makes the stop, but Roschon Johnson again featured back now for the Longhorns.
This is a part of the field where you want to take some shots in the red zone. There they ran some vertical routes. Everything was covered, so Ellinger smartly throws the ball to 2 and a check down. Gets a nice pickup on first down.
Keontae Ingram back in on 2nd and 6.
Rice showing cover 1. They've been playing off on 3rd down, trying to keep everything in front. I'd like to see them play a little bit more aggressive and challenge these receivers.
That's Brewer motioning again. Ingram bounces it outside, trying to find the edge. Ingram is shoved out short of the first down. Antonio Montero, the 19-year-old sophomore from Minnesota, makes the stop on Keontae Ingram.
I like Montero, man. A couple years ago, he was Mr. Minnesota. He can run 11 tackles versus Army. Good timing with the blitzes, and there he shows you his lateral ability to make the tackle for a 3rd down here.
3rd and 3. Texas perfect on 3rd down so far.
Seeing press coverage down here low. I like that. Keep your eye at the top of the screen. But the way this offensive line is running, don't be surprised by this.
There's your run pass option, and it is incomplete. Intended for Duvernay on the quick hitter. Naheem Smith, the junior from Swisher, Iowa, knocks it away, and the offense stays on the field for 4th down. Aggressive on 4th down.
And this is what you want to do. Tom Herman said whether it's LSU or Rice, empty your bucket.
On 4th and 3, huge hole right side. Keontae Ingram inside the 10 with a stiff arm. He is in. Touchdown, Texas. Keontae Ingram from 26 yards out on 4th down.
Just a great job of this offensive line of Texas doing work up front. Keontae Ingram been the nice surprise right here. Ingram's just going to hit this ball and hit his head on the goalpost. Doubling, flaring out. The center climbs up, gets the backer, and Ingram does the left. A little bit of a stiff arm. I'm surprised they didn't do that on 3rd down. They elected to throw it, but smartly come back to it on 4th.
Dickers PAT makes it 21-0 Texas. Number 26, Keontae Ingram, 26-yard touchdown, and there is the first Longhorn rush of 20+, and it's a touchdown for Keontae Ingram.
Why does Rice play Texas? We They choose to go to the moon, do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Welcome back to Houston. I'm lucky enough to be joined by NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine. Now, here in Houston, we are at the home of the NASA Johnson Space Center, and we're celebrating a very special year. So what does the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission symbolize?
So interestingly, we had President Kennedy come to Rice University back in 1962, and his goal was to inspire the nation to go to the moon. And in that speech, he asked a number of questions. He said, why go to the moon? Why does Rice play Texas? And I'll tell you why. Because these things are hard. And at the end of the day, Rice has the ability to beat Texas. I was on the sidelines right here in Houston, Texas in 1994 when Rice beat Texas the last time. And I do believe that it is still in the realm of possibility, just like it was in the realm of possibility to go to the moon, just like John F. Kennedy said to the nation, why does Rice play Texas? We do these things because they are hard.
And as you can see on your shirt right here, you are a Rice alumni. So what's going on with the game here? What's the prediction?
Look, I think we've got a little work to do. But I will tell you, Tom Stewart is a great quarterback. He's a graduate student, as a matter of fact. He graduated from Harvard University. He came to Rice with some eligibility, and now he's playing for us. He's senior. He understands how the game works. He's one of the smartest players in the league, and I'll bet we're going to see some scoring here in the coming minutes.
Thank you so much. We met with him yesterday, and I agree with everything that you said. Guys, back to you.
Thank you very much, Judy. And yet it is proving hard right now, to paraphrase President Kennedy, for the Rice Owls against the Texas Longhorns. All the numbers are lopsided. Ellerby gets a couple on first down, maybe a couple, maybe a yard. Sweat leads away. All right, so what do you do here if you're Rice? You wanted to run it, bleed the clock. Now you're down by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, they wanted to take the air out, but they can't. Tom Stewart is key. They're going to have to throw the ball vertically, try to get some one-on-one matchups against these cornerbacks that got torched against LSU. Playing small ball and running for no gain on first and second down. They have yet to convert a third down conversion. They have to put the football in the air and get some chunk yardage downfield to get themselves back in it.
Rice right now has 7 third down conversions on the season. So on 2nd and 9, Ellerby tripped up and dropped. Jamison comes up. That's Deshaun Jamison, the sophomore from Houston's Lamar High School, competing at the quarterback spot with Kobe Boyce. Nice tackle.
Rice just doesn't have the speed to get the outside perimeter. That's one of the strengths of this defense. Great slow-mo shot there by Jamison, getting a shoestring tackle, but now it's 3rd and long again. Stewart has to throw in this situation, but in my opinion, running on first, second down and hoping to hit a long pass play on third is just not going to get it done.
On 3rd and 10, quick hitter. Montgomery has it, but he is short of the first down. It's a gain of 8 on 3rd and 10. Caden Stearns leads the way. 4th down. Rice will punt on 4th and 2.
I'm a little disappointed to see Rice elect to punt. You understand, because of the field position. But again, this is their 3rd 3-and-out in a row. They just don't have enough firepower offensively to hang with Texas. Punting the football away and giving Texas good field position is not a recipe to come back from being down 3 touchdowns.
First completion by Tom Stewart, but still short. Nunez, another good punt. Jake Smith backs up. Smith grabs it at the 21. Rice rallies to the football. So punting game has been strong with Adam Nunez, but on the scoreboard, Texas 21-0 on the Owls. Our Chick-fil-A fan camp with the eyes of Texas at the home of the Texans here in Houston. Sammy the Owl is in the house. Thankfully, he has not been ejected as of yet. And yes, you can be a Rice Owl supporter, and a lot of folks usually root for Texas, but they've got the Rice on tonight. Unfortunately for the Owls, it has been lopsided thus far.
It doesn't get any more lopsided than that. Rice still being conservative early in this game offensively. They've got to play aggressive. Hopefully their defense can come after the quarterback. They wanted to get some spark plays, some turnovers, some sacks, some tackles for losses. So far, it's been all Longhorns. The Owls got some work to do. Pin their ears back, get after it, challenge these receivers.
From the 21, Ellinger tossed to the outside. Jake Smith with Burt blocking for him. It's blown up by Naheem Smith. So the Texas drives not only 3 for 3, but 82, 90, and 73. And they start this one from their own 21.
It was a great job that time by Naheem Smith coming up and tackling beautifully in the open field, creating a 2nd and long situation. That's something to build off here.
Ingram in the backfield with Ellinger.
See Smith showing press, but then backing up. This might be a quick hitter.
On 2nd and 9, there's your quick hitter. Smith on this corner, and it is dropped again. That is Andrew Byrd who comes up to make the stop, forcing 3rd and long.
Rice made the adjustment, went off. Texas made their adjustment, wanted to go to the bubble screen, but just great job defeating the block out there on the outside edge by Epps. This is textbook play. Shock, shed, make the tackle. 2 very nice plays in a row for this Owl defense.
Empty again on 3rd and 8.
Watch Ellinger's leg. He can run, but this is a high percentage pass with no running backs in the backfield.
Ellinger steps up, room in the middle of the field, and Ellinger across the 30, converting on 3rd and 8. Takes the pop, but as a first down, Grammer finally makes the tackle after a gain of 14.
Rice brings boundary pressure that time. The offensive line does a decent job of picking it up. There's nobody there on the 2nd level because of the route combinations, and Ellinger shows you what his legs can do.
There is a Rice player down. It's Treshawn Chamberlain as we step aside. 21-0 Texas. Moments ago, Treshawn Chamberlain able to get up and walk to the Rice sideline. A sophomore linebacker from Greenwood, Texas. So any update we will pass along. Tomorrow the NFL on CBS begins with regional action featuring Brady and the Pats looking to avoid the upset in Miami, and then others will head out to Oakland. Raiders and Chiefs. Check your local listings for the game in your area. It all begins at noon Eastern with the NFL Today on CBS. Jacksonville at Houston just closing off a very busy weekend at NRG. Washington State over the Houston Cougars 31-24, and then Andrew Catalon and James Lofton have the call on CBS for Jaguars at Texans 1 Eastern on CBS.
So great to see those guys yesterday in our pre-production meetings. And Carter, I don't know if I've ever seen as many satellite trucks in one area as we did yesterday walking in here.
Andrew was doing a little bit of talking about Clemson Syracuse, I hear as well. I'll let him explain, right? Keontae Ingram across the 40-yard line. Miles Adams there on the stop. Ingram had the 26-yard touchdown run last time Texas had it.
Oh no, this is Zach Shackelford. Couple guys getting up slow here.
And Derek Kerstetter.
Kerstetter, the right tackle, and the heart and soul of that offensive line. Zach Shackelford was banged up a little bit in camp with a foot injury. See Kerstetter now back up on his feet.
Now Kerstetter has played all over the offensive line for Texas. Shackelford missed the last 10 days of camp with the foot injury. Shackelford is going to limp back to the Texas sideline. Kerstetter, right tackle, and you also have Trey Schumann walking to the Rice sideline. So if 3 players go down on that same play, the question for Texas is how you shuffle the offensive line. With Shackelford out at center, Kerstetter has played center, has played everywhere on the offensive line.
Yeah, you see the center getting rolled up there. And then for Rice, Trey Schumann, keep your eye on the left-hand side of your screen. It's like his ankle gets rolled up a little bit on man, that's rare to have that many players go down, but just shows you the level of physicality as we see Shackelford. That's a huge loss if he can't come back in. As we see Kerstetter there now taking snaps. As you pointed out, his versatility. We could see him snap on the football tonight.
Rafidi Jermai snaps this one at center on 2nd and 7. Complete to the outside. Jake Smith. Lock on the edge from Brennan Eagles. It's Denzel Okafor coming in at right tackle. Jermai at center for now. And now you'll see Kerstetter come back out. And it'll be Kerstetter at center now.
If I'm Rice, I'm aggressive here and test the new center and test Longhorns communication. That's one of the critical jobs of the guy that snaps the ball, is to ID the front, ID the linebacker that you're going to. Good opportunity here for Rice to test that.
Keontae Ingram left side. Big hole on the left side to the 40-yard line. So that's where Cosme and Braun are blocking for Keontae Ingram. Gain of 15.
Kerstetter did a nice job of taking advantage of the blitzing Mike linebacker, but just good one-on-one blocks on that left side by Parker Braun, and Samuel Cosme opened up a huge hole.
Kerstetter at center. Ellinger. Time to throw. Ellinger downfield. Caught. There's Brennan Ingalls, the sophomore, who is from Houston. A-Lee Taylor, and the 55-yard touchdown versus LSU, emerging as a big play threat.
We talked about Rice being a little bit more aggressive, and that time they were in press man coverage and got torched. That's the downfield ability once again, where Ellinger really elevating his game. How about Brennan Eagles, man? He's quite the receiver to have in that offense.
Ellinger on the roll, complete to the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown, Jake Smith. Second touchdown for Smith. The third passing touchdown of the first half for Sam Ellinger.
Just elevating his game. That time they moved his release point, sprinted out to the right, can show you his ability to also be accurate on the move. Got to say, through 2.5 games for the Texas Longhorns, their pass game's on point.
The perfect offensive night continues. Ellinger to the end zone again.
On a joyous Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Go State!
Go State!
State? His first words. You are my son. He's a State fan deep down. I can see it in his eyes.
State stinks!
State stinks?
Overrated.
Overrated? At least we play a real schedule. Tech just feeds on cupcakes.
Go Tech!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
On a drive where Texas had to shuffle the offensive line in the middle of the drive. Same result, Ellinger to the end zone. Brennan Eagles had the 25, but it was a heck of a throw by Ellinger to Brennan Eagles.
Sure was. Brennan Eagles, 6 foot 4 inches. Look at the rotation on that football. Just a perfect back shoulder. Look at that location. He's got about a 1.5 yard wide window to throw that football in, then puts the ball on the money so that Smith can catch and turn, get vertical in for the touchdown. Smith is already proving to be quite the offensive weapon for this Longhorn team.
14, 10 plus tonight for Texas. Tom Stewart for Rice with Aston Walter with him in the backfield, and Stewart is dropped by Keandre Coburn, a guy that you have loved watching on film.
He's fun, just getting that vertical press up north. Great decision that time by Stewart to pull the football down and not throw it in the harm's way.
Coburn played 3 games last year. New redshirt rule. You come back, so he is a redshirt freshman. That's a sack for Keandre Coburn out of Houston's Westfield High School.
A big offensive line that we're seeing a great shot here has to help these guys get this offense going. Give Stewart time to push the ball downfield.
On 2nd and 12, Walter across the 25. Walter pushes it out to the 30 to bring up 3rd and manageable. Let's check in with Jenny.
Carter, despite not playing due to injury last week, Wiley Green holding court with this offense. He said we need to be mentally ready. We see what they're capable of. Still plenty of football left, and there's a lot of talk centered around Austin Trammell and how to get him the ball. The message on this sideline right now, one play at a time. Let's get 7. And guys, I'm working on injury updates for you as well.
Thank you very much. Austin Trammell, who's a captain as a junior for the Rice Owls.
No catches so far.
We'll have a 3rd down conversion tonight. Stewart on 3rd and 5. Stepping up, Stewart wrestled down, and it is Malcolm Roach who makes the stop on Stewart.
There's no way for Tom Stewart to throw the football. The offensive line's trying to hold themselves, but defensive linemen that retrace their steps like Roach does there eventually collapse the pocket. Credit the back end of this Texas defense that got torched a week ago against LSU for getting Roach that nice little tackle there.
Chris Barnes now punting. Line drive, punting it away from Smith. It backs up, and they'll down it right around the 34-yard line. Bird grabs it. So, football back in the hands of the Texas offense. That's scary news for Rice. .429 before the half, already 28-0 Texas on Rice. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join Brent Stover, Houston Nutt, Kevin Carter from our CBS Sports Network studio in New York. Look around college football, highlights and scores from around the country, first half stats and analysis. Let's check in with Jenny Dell.
Texas center Zach Shackelford limped back to the Texas sideline, straight into the injury tent. He is dealing with a right foot injury, the same foot that he injured in camp. As you can see right here, they just carted him into the locker room to evaluate further, guys.
That's a big loss if Shackelford can't come out. He's the heart and soul of that offensive line for the Longhorns.
So you have Kerstetter at center. Denzel Okafor takes over at right tackle. And here is Daniel Young. Welcome back, Daniel Young. Back this week from an ankle injury. Gain of 13 for the junior from Houston, Westfield High School as well.
Great job that time by Kerstetter's replacement, Denzel Okafor, the right tackle, caving in the right side of that defense.
Young stood up this time in the backfield. Blaze Aldridge drives it back. Loss of 2. Another tackle for loss. Aldridge, junior who came here from L.A. Pierce College.
Just comes off the bottom side of your screen unblocked. There's nobody for him there. That's a gotcha for this offense. They've either got to change the calls up front or Elliger's got to get him out of the play. But you should never have a defender unblocked off the outside edge if you want to be successful.
Roshan Johnson joins Sam Ellinger again for 2nd and 12. Pressure up the middle. Ellinger finds Johnson on the edge. Johnson tackled for a minimal gain. That's Tyree Thornton and Naheem Smith coming up to make the stop. 3rd down. We have another injury for Rice. That's Elijah Garcia, nose tackle, who's played well in the early going, who's down right now for Rice.
Enjoyed our conversation with Rice defensive coordinator Brian Smith, talking to us about his defense and having to keep their head up. This is a unit that struggled a year ago, struggling a little bit this year. Doesn't have much depth on this team. So when you have a guy like Elijah Garcia go down, and there's been a couple guys that have been nicked up, it has a significant impact on a team like Rice than it does one that maybe has more depth to offer.
And Brian Smith defense trying to get off the field. This is the best chance to stop Texas on 3rd down at 3rd and 11.
Texas has been taking advantage of the soft coverage by Rice on 3rd down with the quick hitting slant plays. Here it looks like the adjustment is to play a little bit more tight, to challenge them, to press them, and try to redirect those pass routes to throw the timing off. I like it.
Young in the backfield, 3rd and 11. Ellinger delivers. Young, open field tackle Blaze. Aldridge makes the stop as the Owls rally to the football. And Rice finally stops Texas as Aldridge makes the play in the open field on Daniel Young.
This Owl defense for Brian Smith is tackling extremely well in the open field. It's clear that the Longhorns have more speed. They can get to the outside, but you got to give the Owls credit, along with Aldridge, doing a really nice job of defeating blocks and getting the ball carriers down as soon as they catch the football.
Ryan Buchevsky on the punt for the first time. Even when Texas didn't convert on third down, they had the fourth down touchdown from Keontae Ingram. Rice is going to use a timeout here with 2:27.
Timeout, Rice. Their first, 32nd.
So Mike Bloomgren's bunch gets a stop at last. Well, it has been quite a while. Last time you beat a non-conference FBS opponent, 2015, Big 12 Kansas ranked opponent BYU, and then back to 1994. There was a lot of oddities about that 1994 game, including it was in the Sunday night baseball window because of the baseball strike in 1994, so it got moved from Saturday to Sunday. The Owls in the 94, they won only 2 games that year. Only 1 game in the Southwest Conference, and it was over the Texas Longhorns. That was a weird one. The only time that Rice has beaten Texas since 1965. Buchevsky boots it away, and Austin Trammell. Fair catch at the 11. So 1994. All right, this is us back in 1994. Aaron Taylor.
Yeah.
There's me, KRVL, with a notable Texan at the Willie Nelson's 4th of July picnic, and a darling young Jenny Dell in Connecticut. That's fantastic. Now, AT, would you care to defend yourself with the repertoire of 1994?
That was a JCPenney Big and Tall Chess King special. The rayon short set. Those were in back in the day.
That was fantastic. Into the archives. So that's what we were up to in 1994.
Long time ago.
Tom Stewart handing off to Aston Walter. A very short gain on first down. Josh Thompson makes a stop.
You got to question and wonder
Timeout,
what.
Texas. Their first, 32nd.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering what Rice is doing. You're down 4 touchdowns. You decide to run. You got to be careful that you don't give this ball back to Texas. An offense that can prove it can score and hurt you. Tom Stewart, the transfer quarterback from Harvard's only thrown 3 passes in this game, and you're down 4 touchdowns against one of the most explosive offenses in the country.
And so Tom Herman here with 3 timeouts, and if you get a 3 and out, you use the 3 timeouts, you have plenty of time on the clock before the half. And yes, it's 28-0, but this is what you're here to do. Rep these situations, timeouts, getting the ball back, trying to score before the half. And the Texas defense, I mean, as we've praised a nearly perfect Texas offense, Longhorn defense has been just as good.
We opened this game wondering whether or not how Texas was going to move past that LSU loss, whether or not they were going to have long faces. They've shown up ready to play and executed beautifully on both sides of the ball.
Prior to second down, we have a false start on the offense on Rice, making it even tougher.
False start. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's the right tackle, Justin Gooseberry. Transfer was a D2 All-American, but in a backed-up situation, you hurt your offense. You just can't do it. Rice isn't good enough to have penalties like this. You make a bad situation worse, and just nothing really seems to be going right for this offense. They have got to try to put the football in the air and move the sticks, and here they go being conservative again.
On 2nd and 13, Longhorns rally to the football. 2:07. McCulloch leads the way.
Timeout, Texas. Their second, 32nd.
Meaning you get the stop on third down, 3 and out. You use that last timeout, and then Texas again. Just as when you took the timeout after first down, this is the scenario you envision. You'll have time, plenty of time left.
Please reset the game clock to 2:07. 2:07.
With the football around midfield for Texas. So after your offense is stopped one time, they're likely going to get it back around midfield with under 2 minutes, but plenty of time to have a drive before the end of the half.
Todd Orlando talking to his group saying, hey, let's get this ball back. We know they're behind the sticks. We know we got to put it in the air. Talking to your pass rushers, get yourselves home so that we can get this ball back with good field position. Remember, the Longhorns at the end of the second quarter and the start of the third quarter a week ago against LSU were masterful. They'd love to have another opportunity here right before halftime, especially with Rice getting the football back to start the second half.
3rd and 13 with a timeout. Tom Stewart to the outside. That's complete. Trammell knocked out of bounds by Brandon Jones and Caden Stearns.
And now you run yourself out of bounds before 2 minutes, so the clock's going to stop, and you don't even have to burn your timeout. So now Texas is going to get the ball back.
You were just outside.
Once they get it set.
Texas. That's their 3rd full timeout.
You were just outside at 2 minutes, so clock starts on the ready for play, and then there's the last timeout for Texas. I mean,
please reset the game clock to 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Right on.
Again,
that's why I looked at it. Okay.
Right, it's a 28-0 game, and yes, Texas, you have it well in hand at this point. But again, these are the situations why you get it in. Here in the home of the Texans, this is not a 2-minute warning. This is a timeout. Texas with 2 minutes.
And this is really about them executing. We talk about the 1-0 mantra, regardless of the situation, regardless of the opponent. We do what we do. This is an important situation for a team that has clearly proven they're not letting that LSU loss affect them. It was interesting talking with Tom Herman. He said, hey, what we learned last week is that we can play with anybody. When we play our best, when we do what we can do, we prove that we belong. They were a dropped touchdown pass and a 3rd and 17 conversion on defense away from beating a top 5 team in the country. This team's not quite there, but they're pretty dang close.
It has been a terrific first half all around for Texas. Nunez punts it away. It will go out of bounds. Nice catch by Fernando Lovo over there on the Texas sideline, and it's going to go out of bounds. Texas is going to have the football right around the 42-yard line. And with the way that Sam Ehlinger has led this Texas offense all year and in this first half, that is plenty of room to work.
He's got more touchdowns than he's got incompletions. Sam Ehlinger simply playing at an All-American, if not dark horse for the Heisman type level. Really elevating his game, becoming a true quarterback. Not a dual threat quarterback that likes to run, but a pocket passer with mobility. Ehlinger proving he can sit in the pocket and deliver the football with the best of them.
After a 24-yard punt, will snap it from the Rice 41-yard line. And Ehlinger, time in the pocket, looking downfield. Johnson blocking for him. Ehlinger gets out of bounds with 1:48. Aldridge shoves him out after a short gain. Again, 1:47. Texas doesn't have timeouts, but plenty of time to work with.
Texas has tons of tall wide receivers. We saw Ehlinger take a deep shot on a back shoulder. Credit the Owls defense that time. Ehlinger literally had nowhere to throw the football, had to pull it down, get himself out of bounds.
Junior captain Ehlinger looking for Johnson on the wheel again. Blaze Aldridge there in coverage. That's how Texas got its first touchdown. Ehlinger to Roschon Johnson on the wheel.
Credit Aldridge with much better coverage that time. He was expecting it. Good play design. All the flow and eyes went to the left, and they sneaked Johnson out of the backfield, but 55 wasn't falling for it.
So 3rd and 10, a chance for a boost for the Rice defense after they stopped Texas on the last 3rd down.
3rd down is an aggressive down for this Rice defense. They like those 5, 6, 7-man blitzes. Texas elected to go conservative here.
Keontae Ingram gets the carry for a couple. Aldridge makes the stop. All right, now on 4th down, I mean, if you're Rice here, you have a chance to get it back before they have no.
I don't understand why they're not calling a timeout unless they want to bleed the clock themselves because they're confident that maybe their offense can't move the football. And this is a defensive strategy to make sure Texas doesn't get it back with some time.
Wow, here's Dicker coming out for a 57-yarder, the sophomore.
Timeout Rice, their second. 30-second timeout.
Well, when we talked to Tom Herman this week about Cameron Dicker, says, I mean, if the game was on the line, 57-58, obviously not a game on the line situation here, but again, if you're talking about repping and getting towards the end of a half, a 57-yard attempt, we'll see if Dicker sticks with that 57. This season, 2 for 3, the long 47, had the game-winning 40-yarder versus Oklahoma in the regular season meeting in 2018. So Dicker, sophomore kicker, who hit 47 versus LSU, missed 49 versus Louisiana Tech. We'll see if out of the timeout, here comes Dicker again to attempt the 57-yarder for his career long.
Dicker, the kickers come up huge, as you mentioned, that Oklahoma game. This is a great opportunity for him to make a real-life kick at distance with some pressure.
Luchevsky, the holder, good hold. 57 from Cameron Dicker is good. A career long for the Longhorn kicker, Cameron Dicker, good from 57 to make it 31-0 Texas.
Just a beautiful kick. Puts his leg through it. It was on the money the whole way. He's got a pretty strong leg. That had 5, 6, 7, 8 more yards on it.
Good snap from Justin Motter. Good hold from Ryan Buchevsky. And Cameron Dicker has a new career long. So Tom Herman said in scrimmages he has made him from 60. So they felt fairly confident. You can see why. 57, like I said, was easily good. So a pat on the back for Herb Hand there, the offensive line coach, and a 31-0 lead for Texas.
Tell you what, there are a lot of head coaches around the country that wish they had a kicker like Dicker.
Oh yeah. Lake Travis High School, so high school rivalry with his quarterback Sam Ellinger from Westlake. And now Dicker kickoff. Trammell will let it bounce. It is a touchback with 61 seconds left in the half. Friday night at 8 Eastern, CBS Sports Network returns to the gridiron for a Conference USA clash as the FIU Panthers battle the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Now, we dug deep for this one. Most players from Texas on non-Texas schools. Louisiana Tech, 28. All states contiguous to the Lone Star State. So no surprise, everybody's coming into Texas to get players.
Including Skip Holtz there down at the bottom.
That's right. The Longhorns defeated. First game of the year. Stewart slides, took a pop. Looks like Roach, and here comes a flag. And now
that might be targeting.
That's exactly right. Now, if it is Malcolm Roach, first half would miss the rest of, well, we'll wait for the call.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 32. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic first down.
Unnecessary roughness, not targeting.
That's critical. And you see there, the front of his helmet hit Stewart on the shoulder cap of his shoulder pads, and clearly Roach knew that he was close. He's losing his balance. He's not trying to take a hit whatsoever there. I think they called that correctly. Roach just didn't have the intent.
Stewart chased again. Eludes Roach this time on 1st and 10. Stewart dumps it off. It is caught by August Pete, the redshirt freshman from Opelousas, Louisiana. Gain of 4 on the second completion of the game for Tom Stewart and Rice. First time they've passed it on 1st down.
Brian Chaff in the center saying, come on guys, let's go.
And so Stewart winds up 2nd and 4 and misses that throw for Bradley Rosner.
Joseph Asai was there, the B-backer for this Longhorn defense. I'm watching Todd Orlando's group anticipate almost every single throw and route. You wonder if formationally with a smaller package, with Stewart maybe not having as well of a grasp of this offense. But clearly the Longhorns are hip to the pass game of this Rice Owl offense.
3rd and 6. Stewart over the middle, tipped and off of the hands. Well, that was a chance at a big one for Rice, and instead it's now 4th and 6 off the hands
of Jake Bailey. He's got to catch this football. That is beautiful. Couldn't throw it any better. Hits him in the face. You're supposed to look the football in. When it rains, it pours for the Owls. Great play design and execution by the quarterback. But 11's got to come down with that.
After a 24-yard punt from Nunez, it's now Chris Barnes back out there, senior from the Woodlands. He played tight end when he first got to Rice. Barnes boots it away. Fair catch called for. Jones makes that catch inside the 10. That's Brandon Jones backing up. So 17 seconds well in hand for Texas with a 31-0. I mean, like we said, you say how well are the Longhorns going to look in this game versus Rice after the disappointment against LSU. Tom Herman said he thought the week of practice was terrific, and certainly it's shown up here in the first half.
This is what you want from your team. If you want to get to that elite level, you have to play consistent. They had an opportunity against LSU where they were literally 2 plays away from being able to stick their flag in the ground and pronouncing that they're back. We saw what they did to Georgia. A lot of people said Georgia didn't want to be in that game. Had they beaten LSU, it would have erased all doubt about whether or not this Longhorn team is back or not. Tom Herman could care less about that. He just wants his team to get better, be 1-0 every week, and they're off to a pretty dang good start here in week 3.
Snap it, hand it off. Daniel Young. Waning seconds of the first half. That's Garcia who gets the push. That's a good sign for Rice that Garcia is back in there after he left. And that will bring the first half to an end. A nearly perfect first half of football for 12th ranked Texas. 31-0 at the break on Rice. After the break, we will send you back to our CBS Sports Network studio in New York for the Verizon Halftime Report. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Geico. Hall of Fame halftime. Burton Hanks, a nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Associate Commissioner, Conference USA, presenting the Conference USA Hall of Fame plaques to the great Wayne Graham and Jarrett Dillard. And how about this moment? Tom Herman, who is Jarrett Dillard's offensive coordinator at Rice, over there to give him a hug, and that pretty much sums it up. I mean, that was a special moment for those guys. With Jenny Dell, Aaron Taylor, I'm Carter Blackburn, and we came on the air talking about how Texas 1-0, and you needed to focus and take it to the Rice Owls, and I would say mission accomplished at the half.
They came out strong on both sides of the football and really were dominant in the way that we would expect them to be. Coach Herman has to be happy.
Offense, yes, but the defense terrific as well. Our road, pound for pound.
Well, it was all about the defense. Todd Orlando's group gave up a ton of yards. Joe Burrow was lighting them up, but today they've shown up. They've been running to the football, stopping the run, anticipating the few passes, only 7 attempts in the first half by this Rice Owl team under Tom Stewart. This Texas Longhorn defense has been as equally as a
pound for pound, brought to you by Rogue Fitness, and there is Digger's touchback to begin the second half. So Rice will get it from the 25-yard line. Let's check in with Jenny Dell.
Well, Carter, quick injury update. First, Texas center Zach Shackelford is out for the game with a right foot injury. And on this side, I talked with Rice head coach Lundgren, and he said, gosh, Texas is a good football team. He just started laughing. He said, all we could do is challenge them, put our best foot forward. I told the guys, go out there and fight for each other.
Wow. Well, that sums it up for Mike Lundgren. I mean, you've been a fan of his for a long time.
I have been. I got to know him from his great work on those offensive lines at Stanford. Heck of an opportunity for him to get his first head coaching job. Was the offensive coordinators last year there on the farm. But man, they've got their hands full here tonight.
Tom Stewart stepping up, pressured again. Stewart dives to near the 30-yard line. That's a gain of 5. Jeffrey McCullough makes the stop. Here's the first half stats, and they are heavily tilted towards the Texas Longhorns.
I mean, any one of those lines really tells the story of this game. The time of possession means that, my goodness, that Rice defense is going to be on the field an awfully long time. Rice, to their credit, came out throwing. That was only their second first down pass attempt this entire game. I would expect, or at least hope, we're going to see more of that here in the second half.
And part of that discussion of Texas being back is doing exactly this when you're supposed to roll over an opponent 31-0. It's been a while, a lot of tight games. On the left side, Aston Walter. He is shoved out to bring up 3rd and short. That's Jalen Green, the sophomore, Heights High School here in Houston, who makes a stop. 3rd and very short for Rice, and that's good news because 3rd down has been a major problem the last couple of years.
Yeah, and they've yet to convert one here tonight. And Walter's a guy that can run physically. He's a strong runner. He's got some good straight-ahead speed, averaging over 4 yards per carry today. This is critical, man, for them to come out here in the second half, get some mojo going. As crazy as it sounds, if they can convert this 3rd down, that can start to build them some confidence. They've been playing hard all day. They just haven't been executing.
On 3rd and 2, Stewart to throw. It is caught. Trammell on the edge. There's the first 3rd down conversion of the game, and only the 8th of the season for the Rice Owls. Josh Thompson on the stop.
And there he is right there on the hash mark, just going to do a quick speed out of side, tries to read it, but the block on the outside by the #1 receiver gives him just enough of crease. He's got to run the hump. And there, the forward pass working for the Owls. And Trammell, we talked about him being a 3rd down threat. You just saw it.
Has the only receiving touchdown of the year for the Rice Owls. That was late versus Wake Forest. Stewart starting in place of the injured Wiley Green. Practice this week, but non-contact. Stewart stumbles a little bit coming away from center. Hands off to Aston Walter, who is popped by Brandon Jones, the senior from Nacogdoches, Texas, making his 26th start. Team captain for the Longhorns.
He's been a heck of a playmaker for him. Played that nickel position. Had a sack a week ago. They like to be very aggressive. That's one of the toughest things you can do as an offensive lineman, is identify who the blitzers are. Texas and Todd Orlando, they like to bring everybody from everywhere. B.J. Foster, who's not playing tonight because of the hamstring injury, oftentimes on 3rd down would have his hand down and rush the passer off the edge.
And Margon Overshawn also not out there for Texas because of a back injury. So a couple missing players in the secondary. Aston Walter brought down by Osai and Brandon Jones.
Carter, we talk about complementary football all the time. You see Rice comes out throwing, they convert the sticks, that opens the run game up. You have to have some sort of complementary skill set to your offense. If you run, throw on 3rd down, you end up going 3 and out. They throw on 3rd down, they convert. Going to be interesting to see what they dial up here.
Went to Trammell the last time, and now a rare 4-wide set for the Owls on 3rd and 4. Snap it with barely a second. Stewart on 3rd and 4. Hit as he throws. That is it is picked up. I was waiting for an incomplete pass. And this is going to be Jalen Green walking into the end zone. And now we'll wait to hear whether this is going to be a run back.
Is a fumble recovered by the defense for a touchdown.
Jalen Green walks into the end zone. They're going to take a look at this one, but for now, Stewart fumble and Jalen Green walks into the end zone. Taquan Graham credited.
It's going to be an incomplete pass. That arm was going forward. He started the forward motion to the throw. It was awfully close. This is indicative of what Texas did against LSU. Just an unbelievable push by Taquan Graham. But like you said, Carter, you were waiting for the incomplete pass. When you looked at it live, it looks like we're seeing like it looks here when it's slowed down.
Rodney Burnett, the referee. Paul Jones, our replay official. And it's still a great play by Taquan Graham about the 4th fumble versus Georgia and the Sugar Bowl, but As of now, again, the ruling on the field is fumble, recovery by Jalen Green, and touchdown Texas. And you can see just about everybody but Jalen Green. I mean, he looked to the sideline before he ran it back.
They're going to overturn this, I would imagine. If Taquan Graham had hit the back of the football as it's coming back, which it doesn't look like he does, you could understand.
After review, the quarterback's arm was going forward, therefore it's an incomplete pass. Please reset the game clock to 11:31.
That's what replay's for, and they got it right.
Finally, Rice catches a break in this, in this game. So, wipe it out, incomplete pass. This is a 6-play drive, Rice's longest drive tonight, and yet it still ends up in a punt. Nunez, and this is Brandon Jones back, has it at the 11. Jones with a stiff arm. Jones is brought down and tackled hard by Blaze Aldridge, making plays on defense and now on special teams. A little salty with Brandon Jones. Still 31-0 Texas. 12th ranked Texas still 31-0 on Rice here at the home of the Texans in NRG as we celebrate 150 years of college football. You go back to 1965. Jess Neely's Rice Owls versus Darrell Royals, 5th ranked Longhorns. Texas up 2 touchdowns in the 3rd. Rice comes all the way back to win it on a 33-yard field goal. One of 2 Rice wins in 1965. The only Southwest Conference win. Arkansas won the Southwest Conference that year. Perfect in Southwest Conference play, but that one of the all-time stunners. With Rice over Texas in 1965, and as we've said, only 1 win in the series since. There's the 95th meeting first since 2015. Sam Ehlinger in the Texas offense, nearly perfect. To the outside, Devin Duvernay in the slot. Duvernay breaks a tackle and gets out to the 19-yard line. So, I mean, as many as you pointed out early, I mean, that's a pretty incredible number.
It's hard to get better than that. He's been dialed in, and it makes you wonder with 31-0 why he's in this ball game. I would imagine at some point we're going to see Casey Thompson. Clearly, this staff wants to see if this offense can come back out after halftime with the lead and still execute.
Ehlinger on 1st and 10. Give it to Keontae Ingram. In our conversation with Sam Ehlinger this week, again, he said, we don't have anyone on the offense who doubts our ability. And that was a pretty big statement. I mean, you lose the game against LSU. It's tough, but there is still a high degree of confidence from your captain quarterback.
We've seen it tonight. He's been masterful in this first half. He was masterful in the loss a week ago against LSU. He's a championship level quarterback.
530 yards versus LSU, 38 points, 45 versus Louisiana Tech. They averaged 6 yards a play against LSU. Even better tonight. And now Ehlinger over the middle hits a big one to the 40-yard line. Duvernay makes the grab. That is a gain of 17 for Duvernay.
And you'll see here great protection, and this is what allowed them to play so well against LSU. This offensive line is the position, in my opinion, that has improved year over year. As unfortunately, we're going to take a look at another Rice player that's down on the field, but Duvernay been balling.
It's Naheem Smith, the junior nickelback, who is down right now for Rice. We'll step aside.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Hormel Chili. We are Chili Nation. By Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. And by Greenie's Dental Treats.
The Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center, just down the road, named after the Stonewall, Texas native Lyndon Baines Johnson, as we continue to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the moon landing here in Space City. And moments ago, Naheem Smith able to walk back to the Rice sideline of the junior nickelback, the latest Rice Owl to need help from the trainers tonight. Prudy Calderon takes his spot. Sam Ehlinger on 1st and 10, handing off to Keontae Ingram, tripped up. Ingram gets a few, even though he is tripped up. That's a gain of 3.
Saw at the very end of that play, Okafor, the right tackle, 78, doing what's becoming a dying skill set in football, and that's finishing, blocking 2 and through the echo of the whistle. Of course, playing in the place of Derek Kerstetter, who started this game, who's now been moved over to center because their bell cow, Zach Shackelford, left the game with that foot injury. That's a huge loss, depending on the seriousness of that injury, because he makes that O-line go up front.
Ellinger on 2nd and 7, pressured. Ellinger slips away. Ekpe was coming. Ellinger gets rid of it and completes on the outside to John Bird, the senior from Tallahassee's Lincoln High School, after Ekpe couldn't bring down Ellinger.
Not a very good effort there by Keontae Ingram to pick up Ekpe. We highlighted him in the open about him getting to the quarterback. He knows he missed a great opportunity there, but Sam Ellinger keeping his eyes downfield instead of running is a big difference from what he did a year ago.
10th pass of 10+, 8 different receivers with a reception tonight, and Rice will have to use a timeout with the Longhorns moving again. Burt makes the nice grab. A hurdler and sprinter for the Texas track team as well.
Timeout Rice. They're first. Full timeout.
See Burt's just running a comeback. I don't know if that was a scramble drill or design play, but Ellinger right here gets in trouble, but keeps his eyes downfield instead of trying to take off and run. Puts the ball in the money low and away. And that downfield accuracy just simply wasn't there last season.
You know, when Jenny asked Devin Duvernay about the vocal leaders on this offense, his answer was, oh, Sam, for sure. It was almost with an exclamation point, and it has been highlighted off the field, really in the week of practice. All the Longhorns are raving about the leadership Ellinger showed after the loss to LSU in practice this week, turning the page, moving on, and he has moved on very well tonight.
He's been masterful. His ability as a pocket passer makes Texas a potential contender. They're ranked 12th now. I don't know where they're going to end up at the end of the season, but he's the type of quarterback, they can get that run game sorted out and their pass defense sorted out, that has a real good shot to make a run here late in the season.
O'Shawn Johnson, big holes. Johnson pushes inside the 35. And one of those amazing numbers about what the offense has done. You get Daniel Young back tonight, but I mean, Texas with one scholarship running back available for the first 2 weeks, Louisiana Tech and LSU. Johnson moved from quarterback to running back. I mean, he looks the part, but still the plan at the beginning of the season not to have Roschon Johnson at running back, and yet they have barely missed a stride.
Largely because of Ellinger's arm, but credit Roschon Johnson, averaging 6 yards a carry tonight here. He's new to the running back positions, a converted quarterback. But that's going to be one of the bright spots when this year is over, is the fact of his emergence, taking advantage of his opportunity with all of the injuries. As these guys get healthy and start to come back, just like Daniel Young has, they might finally have some of that much needed depth that's been elusive for them through 3 games.
Blaze Aldridge makes another stop. He's playing hard, forcing the Longhorns into 3rd and 4.
That's what's really impressive about this Rice team. Regardless of the score, these guys play hard, and Bloomgren was very excited about that.
Give it to Johnson on 3rd and 4. Finds a crease on the left side inside the 25. Johnson takes it to now the 21. Helmet pops off, so he'll have to come out for at least a play. Prudy Calderon makes the stop after a gain of 11.
This is going to be just a simple counter play that they like to run. Take that jab step and boom. It's kick out, down, down, and around. Patience there by number 2 is getting better and better.
Keontae Ingram, here comes pressure again from Ekpe. Ellinger incomplete. Ekpe giving chase. So Aldridge and Ekpe come, and that's, I mean, this is getting closer to what Rice wanted to do all night, getting pressure from Ekpe and Aldridge.
They're bringing a lot of boundary pressure tonight off that short side of the field. It forces Ellinger to flush out to his right and throw the errant pass. But to your point, when you're down here in the red zone, things happen faster. You can afford to be a little bit more aggressive.
And now on the 10th play of this Texas drive, Ellinger, quick hitter to the outside. That is complete to Malcolm Epps. Junior from Houston. That is a gain of 8. Tonight's Red Zone brought to you by Verizon. 10 trips, 8 touchdowns. That's phenomenal efficiency. And yes, we know about the other 2, including Ingram. But Ingram will reach the end zone. Touchdown, Texas. Keontae Ingram, 14 yards out. Second rushing touchdown of the night for the sophomore from Carthage.
That's a perfect example of what Texas can do running the football. They've caught Rice off guard all night long. The defender's still ready to get set. Defenses are taught alignment assignments. You got to get lined up first and make sure you do your job. That time, Rice not lined up in time, and the Longhorns make them pay.
91 yards on this drive in 11 plays. Extracurricular after the PAT. It is good to make it 38-0. No flags, touch gloves, back to the sideline. T for Texas. T for touchdown. Keontae Ingram. Eyes at Texas and everything else looking good tonight. 38-0 on the Rice Owls here in the third quarter. Tonight's Geico difference makers, I would say Sam Ehlinger, mission accomplished with only now 4 incompletions against 3 touchdowns, but still 0 INTs on the season. And Keontae Ingram with 2 touchdowns, 74 yards for Ingram. Rice has a total of 80 total yards. And let's go back to that last touchdown by Keontae Ingram.
We're going to see Rice isn't going to get themselves set. They're going to come here. So it's great blocks on this downside. They're going to cave that in, allows Ingram to press the line of scrimmage and basically run to the vacated space. But that space is created by that left side of the offensive line and that tight end, Jared Wiley, number 18, that allowed Ingram to get a good head of steam heading downhill and produce a little bit of the run game, which has been a struggle for Texas so far this season.
And you knew after the frustration for Keontae Ingram, the huge drop at the goal line against LSU, Texas is going to find a way to get him the football and get him in the end zone. Mission accomplished for that young man.
First play of the game, they throw a pass to him out of the backfield on a swing route. That's a way to kind of shake off the nerves. And the coaches told us, hey, he was down in the dumps a little bit through the game. You could watch his body language. And it's so hard, man, when you're out there and things aren't going well. You know everybody sees it. Nobody wanted to catch that ball more so than Ingram did. And it crushed him. But to his point, just like this team last year responded to the Maryland loss, they bounced back. Keontae Ingram bounced back after a huge drop. And that's who this Texas team is.
Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Ginny Dell from Houston, Texas, where it has been all Longhorns from the get-go. Charlie Booker, another grad transfer from Harvard, is in the backfield along with Tom Stewart. And Booker gets the handoff on first down and gets a couple. Obviously nothing much going right for the Rice Owls tonight, down by 38-0, but we certainly did enjoy our visit with Tom Stewart, the grad transfer from Harvard. That's one of those wrinkles. He was injured his junior year. There's no redshirt Ivy League, so no chance to come back for a 5th year. So, I mean, he went out with a bang with that win over Yale at Fenway Park, and then 1 year of eligibility, graduate transfer to Rice, where starts his MBA on October 12th. Told us he could have started in July or October. He wanted to be a football player for a while. Booker dropped again. Joseph Osai. And there's Wiley Green, the redshirt freshman from Coppell, Texas. And the very good news, I mean, he left that game versus Wake Forest last Friday night in an ambulance, and it was a very scary scene. He was down for over 10 minutes. Did practice this week without contact. When he's back, don't know. But that was certainly good to see Wiley Green in what was a very scary moment for him and his family, and for the Rice Owl family, back on the sideline. Stewart and the Owls facing 3rd and 9. Only 1 3rd down conversion. Stewart steps up and delivers over the middle. There's Trammell moving the sticks and moving Rice across the Texas 30-yard line. Josh Thompson finally makes the stop on Austin Trammell.
Josh Thompson got beat in one-on-one coverage. A great route running that time by Trammell. Create some separation, something that's been very elusive. Here he is on the house, fakes him outside with a great head fake and completely turns the defensive back around. Trammell, finally, a downfield throw by these guys. And it looked beautiful.
45 yards. Stewart 5 completions. Ehlinger has 4 incompletions. There's a number of stats that'll tell you this is lopsided. First play in Texas territory. Stewart to the air again. That is August Pete. It is incomplete. And it is knocked away by Anthony Cook, sophomore from Lamar High School here in Houston. That is the longest pass play of the season for the Rice Owls at 45 yards.
And you were talking about how impressive Stewart was, man. He walked into the room, and I think we were all blown away and impressed by his level of maturity. He's new to this offense. It's quite a bit different, more complicated than he's been accustomed to. But he came into the game, responded extremely well, and Coach Bloomgren told us he really benefited from taking the first team reps all week long, and I think we just saw that on that last play there.
Out of the eye, toss, Booker on the right side, and he is popped by Coburn as we check in with Brent Stover in New York.
Guys, Felipe Franks knocked out of the game with a leg injury. Kyle Trask in scores these go-ahead touchdown. 2-point conversion failed, but the Gators lead Kentucky now 22-21 with 4 minutes remaining.
Oh, wow. That's a significant injury in the landscape of the SEC East in college football.
Big time. A lot of people were wondering whether or not Florida was going to be a dark horse for the East. Going to be hard to topple that Georgia team that looks to have picked up right where they left off. But Franks really improving underneath Dan Mullen. Gators going to miss him.
Best drive of the night for Rice. Tom Stewart, 3rd and 10, pressured, and Stewart will cover up and take the sack all the way back at the 45. Adeoye finishes it off. The redshirt freshman from St. Louis, Ayodele Adeoye.
This is that pressure that Texas wants to bring. They only rush 3, and they still get home. Todd Orlando has to love what he's seeing from his defense. Just good push. Roach is involved. You've got guys running free, finally getting him down on the ground. That's the way to get yourself off the field on 3rd down.
Rice's field goal kicker hasn't made one this year, so not a time to stretch it. Nunez punts it away into the hands of Brandon Jones. Fair catch. 38-0 Texas. Longhorn football. $38-0 Texas on Rice. You know, all season long, Jenny Dell getting on the phone with legendary figures from college football's 150, especially this week with a Longhorn legend. Jenny?
Well, Carter, when you think Texas football, you think Vince Young. So, of course, that's who I had to call this week. I asked him what makes the Longhorns so special. He said it's the history, the legacy, the alumni, the fans. He said Texas is football. Of course, then I had to ask about Sam Ehlinger. He said, Sam's my guy. He has that it factor. He's a leader. He's humble. And most importantly, he loves the game and his university. Sam told me that he grew up idolizing Vince Young and that when he got to Texas, Young made himself available for advice. Sam immediately took him up on that. Guys, in this game, Ehlinger passed Young in 2 major categories in the school history books, career yards and passing touchdowns. So it seems like Young's advice of working hard and using his God-given talent is working out pretty well.
Absolutely, and I think we could put those in the book right now as Ehlinger has grabbed a headset, and Casey Thompson, the redshirt freshman who went 3 for 5 versus Louisiana Tech. A Longhorn with a Sooner lineage, and so at the 2:53 mark of the 3rd, it is Thompson in at quarterback, handing off to the guy who used to be behind him on the depth chart at QB, Roshan Johnson. There's Miles Adams on the stop. Casey Thompson, his dad Charles, Sooners quarterback, brother Kendall, Sooner wide receiver, but he wanted to be a Longhorn.
Made a great choice. It was fun watching him practice on Thursday. They practice pretty aggressively on Thursday. They run around and get a pretty good lather. Thompson was there slinging the ball. You can tell he's got a ton of talent. Not quite the accurate passer that Sam Ehlinger is, but Sam wasn't necessarily that way when he showed up to campus as well.
He'd be the first to tell you as well. Jordan Pouncey makes that grab on Thompson's completion to make it 3rd and 3.
Ehlinger's a consummate leader, man. He's the type of guy when you walk into the building that you know that he's in there. He's kind of got a quiet demeanor, but you go out there on the field, he's a little vocal. He's running things. He's not afraid to use his voice and rally the troops around him, but he's also having fun out there. He's the perfect blend of leadership that you like at that position.
On 3rd and 3, here's Thompson on the draw. Thompson right at the sticks. Dropped by Miles Adams. They're going to move him 1st down. Thompson gets just enough.
That's great. This is a good opportunity for Thompson to come in. Regardless of who's in there, the expectation offensively is to move the chains. Thompson, much more of a dual threat run-first quarterback than even Ellinger is, showing you his abilities there.
Roshan Johnson up the middle across the 25. As you talked about Texas practice and practicing hard, they hit on Tuesday, which is a rarity game week. And we asked Tom Herman about that physical mentality. He said, no one ever said after winning a championship at any level of football, we out-finessed them. No one has ever said that. So if you're going to hit on game day, you got to hit in practice. And that has been a mentality for Tom Herman ever since he took over as head coach at University of Houston and now year 3 at Texas. They go aggressive in practice.
Physicality is the key difference between this Texas team and what we saw even 2 years ago. The line of scrimmage, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, there's a toughness to this team. Todd Orlando told us, hey, you can't be a fighter without being in fights. We have to practice physically. We have to tackle to the ground. We expect our guys to be tough and control the lines of scrimmage. How many times, particularly in this conference in the Big 12, have we seen these hurry-up, no-huddle spread teams with 3 and 4 wide receivers absolutely get torched because they're not able to tackle and be physical at the point of attack?
Coach Herman said you don't wake up and you're a great violinist. You have to practice the violin. If you want to be a tough physical football team, you have to practice it. Longhorns have certainly been that tonight, just behind intended receiver Woodard on that 1st down run pass option from Casey Thompson.
Thompson's lack of accuracy was noticeable at practice compared to Ellinger. The offense just operated differently. That's why a situation like this is so important for a young quarterback who's understandably nervous anytime you're in a building like this and you see all the burnt orange around, regardless of the score. All of us, when we started out playing, your adrenaline's going a little bit, so this is a good opportunity for him.
Now on 2nd and 10, slant caught. That's Washington who makes the grab, the true freshman Marcus Washington. And again, Washington makes the grab. That's a gain of 3, and that will send us to the 4th quarter. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Geico. Take a look at tonight's stacked stats, brought to you by Pringles, and they have been stacked in favor of the Texas Longhorns. A quarter away from their first shutout versus Rice since 1978. Rice punts on all 8 possessions. They have only crossed the Texas 50 once, and so in the 3rd quarter, it's mostly the twos into the game with the Texas Longhorns, including Casey Thompson. Good night for Bevo. Not so much for Sammy the Owl. Good night for Hookham as well. Don't want to shortchange Hookham. Thompson with Roshan Johnson in the backfield. Thompson, heavy pressure on 3rd and 7. He will take the sack. He is dropped by Blaze Aldridge, who has been terrific from his will linebacker spot for the Owls tonight.
The first player to get there is Ekpe off the right side of the screen, but that time Aldridge kind of green-dogged. He's sitting there. Plays, sees he comes free and just finishes the play and does what he's been doing all night, which is coming downhill and making plays. 4.5 tackles for loss tonight for Aldridge. The Owls came into the night with 6 as a team.
He has the sack. He has Rice's only takeaway this year, a fumble recovery. Ryan Buchevsky punts it away. Austin Trammell has the fair catch inside the 26. Owl football, Texas in control. 38-0 Texas on Rice. Next Saturday, the Rice Owls back here on CBS Sports Network, taking on Baylor at 7 Eastern. It's all part of a full day of college football on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Our eye on college football, it is Texas-ized. Baylor rolling, averaging 60 points per game this season. That is tied for third in the FBS. Texas and Texas A&M looking to rebound. The Aggies will have Auburn next week on CBS. Only teams from the state in the top 25. And then SMU, they finished off Texas State 47-17, 3-0, first time since 1984. And TCU and Texas Tech, that's underway between Texas Tech and Arizona. And the Texas Longhorns on the road here against Rice. Not at Rice Stadium. We're at NRG, home of the Texans, just right down the road. And the Longhorns have been in command from the start.
No route.
Tom Stewart looking, ooh, and it's incomplete. Couldn't complete it to Booker. Wouldn't have been much of a gain anyway. And there you see Zach Shackelford, the senior who was on crutches, has a boot on the right foot. That's the foot that was injured during camp. And Zach Shackelford re-injuring that in the first half.
He's their best, most physical offensive lineman, 4-year starter. Started as a freshman, came in and won the job early on, was a freshman All-American. But he's a dude up there. First play of the LSU game, out on the screen, gave a free face massage to one of the defenders. He's just a fun player to watch, and that's going to be a big loss depending on the severity of that injury. Something that has been lingering around since training camp.
Handoff, and that goes to Booker, and a good push from Booker to get to the 35. And by the way, speaking of offensive line play, Brian Chafin, the center for Rice, graduate transfer from Stanford, walked into the meeting yesterday and said, "Hey, Aaron, big fan of your Twitter account. Thanks for all of the love for the offensive line." And yeah, it was nice.
The O-line community is a tight-knit community. We all put out clips of good physical, tough offensive line play, finishes, those sort of things. To Chafin's credit, he's out there on the internet looking for good examples of what good O-line play looks like. But man, he's a Mike Bloomgren player. You know these guys are going to get after it up front.
On 3rd and 1, over the top, Walter will see if he got enough. Behind the block from Brian Chafin, and that is just enough. Move the chains, first down. I didn't ask, and maybe I did. I didn't ask Brian Chafin if he was a fan of your dad jokes that you tweet out. I mean, the offensive line, yes, but maybe not the dad jokes.
Offensive linemen, we're a different breed, man. We sometimes are corny. We may not always shower and have the best hygiene, but we're hard workers. We're team guys, and Chafin, who's largely a backup at Stanford and understands this offense as well as anybody, is a grad student. He's got another bright future ahead of him, and Bloomgren is really happy to have him and the other 2 transfers.
Stewart 1st and 10. Pocket holds up this time. Deep shot downfield and incomplete, intended for August Pete. Frustrated Tom Stewart because he missed his best chance of the night.
And that was an unbelievable route to get himself open. Ball was simply overthrown, but take a look at the top of your screen. Gonna a little stutter and go, and just completely turns the DB around, creates that separation, gets behind him, and Stewart knows, man, I missed that one. He'd love to have it back, but that's encouraging to see from this Owl offense. And if you're Texas, regardless of who's in there, deep passes over their head were a problem a week ago. They've got to get that figured out.
Stewart under center, fake it, trying to load it up again. Instead, he gets dropped. Another sack for the Texas D. Jawan Mitchell, the sophomore from Newark, New Jersey, via Butler Community College.
Just going to be coming straight downhill with some play action. When they read that it's a green dog and he's going to drop back to pass, they've got the free green light to go. They bring more people than Rice can pick up. And finally, that rush for the Longhorns getting home. Still quite a few starters out there on the football field. Malcolm Roach. He's the captain of this team and still on the field, 38-0.
3rd and long, screen, Trammell on 3rd and 18. Trammell trying to break tackles. He is tackled by Jacoby Jones. There is a flag down.
Look like it's going to be a face mask.
Giving Rice the first down, waiting for the official call.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, 15-yard penalty from the end of run, automatic first down.
One was a stiff arm and one was a face mask. Trammell's lucky to have his head still on his shoulders, and one of the few penalties for Texas tonight. Been a relatively clean game for them across the board, but McCullough, one of that linebacker crew, they've got some speed on this team. They are physical, they are tough, they are strong, and they can run.
Stewart on 1st and 10 from the 45. Steps up and gets mostly the twos for Texas. Trammell makes the grab. Move the chains again against Todd Orlando's defense. I'd say what, he stepped up this week in our conversation with him. You pointed out earlier, said I could have done a better job helping those guys, is what Todd Orlando said of last week versus LSU.
It's rare to have that level of accountability. You watch that game against LSU, and they were being pretty aggressive, blitz a heck of a lot more than they're doing here tonight. On 48 pass plays a week ago, they came 32 times, so 2/3 of the time they were leaving their corners out on an island, and LSU took advantage of it.
Stewart on 1st and 10, rolls away from the pressure, steps up, complete. At the 11, that's Pete who makes the grab. First down, Rice into the red zone at last. Tom Stewart to August Pete. Tonight's Red Zone brought to you by Verizon. 5 trips, 3 touchdowns. The issue has been just not getting to the red zone enough for the Owls.
Just a great play there to keep it alive by Tom Stewart, keeping his eyes downfield. It's a forward pass by the Owls. Haven't seen a whole lot of that tonight. This is important for them, and this is also important for Texas. With their personnel on the field, they want to preserve this shutout, which is greatly in jeopardy.
Aston Walter. And Sean Jamison makes the stop there on Aston Walter. Jamison, who's in that cornerback rotation. Kobe Boyce, and that discussion of the corners in the secondary. Tom Herman took a lot of pains this week to say, hey, don't put it all on them. Defense could have done a better job overall.
And when you watch the tape, man, they're not that far off. They are very, very close. There were multiple plays in that LSU game where the defense was literally an inch or less than an inch from tipping the ball, from grabbing the quarterback's arm, from getting a sack. You got to credit Joe Burrow. He put the ball on the money, but Texas wasn't that far off.
10th play of the drive for Rice. Aston Walter pushes the pile. Sweat finally makes a stop. Gain of 6. You have 3rd down from just outside the 5.
So you got a lot of the backups in here for the Longhorns. Mike Bloomgren, the Rice head coach, the play caller. He wants to punch this thing in, man. It would be nothing better. These kids came to Rice to get a great education and play in big-time ball games. Here they are at NRG with the Texas Longhorns, the 12th team in the country. Been a lopsided, one-sided game all game long, and they got an opportunity here inside the 10 to get a score.
Stewart on 3rd and 3. Walter has it on the left side, pushing short of the goal line, but that'll be enough for a first down. It is 1st and goal, Rice.
A couple of the Texas players, most notably Chris Brown, running away from the football that he thought came out. And he was the guy that Todd Orlando and Tom Herman pointed out that really defined what this team and this defense is about. Guy that has reckless abandon, throws his body around, plays with great effort and intensity. They need him and his unit to bow their neck and try to keep Rice out. And if you're Rice, you're Mike Bloomgren offense. This is all about the ground and pound.
Suckley the fullback, Walter at tailback. Stewart tosses, there's Walter. At last, touchdown, Rice. Tom Stewart to Aston Walter. No No shutout tonight for the Texas defense against mostly the backups, but Rice gets in the end zone. 12 plays to end the shutout.
Great way to finish that drive. Great play call down there as well. Texas was thinking run all the way.
Ooh. And yet the PAT no good, so air goes out again. Will Harrison misses the PAT. And we're on third down. This face mask kept it going. Tom Stewart, Aston Walter able to take advantage. Now 38-6. Rice's first points of the night. Touchdown, PAT no good, so 38-6. Longhorns now on the Owls with 7:50 to go here in the fourth quarter. Texas on the verge of 2-1. Rice on the verge of 0-3. Will Harrison's kickoff. Short taken at the 10. Across the 20-yard line. And that is Jamison who brings it across the 30-yard line. Let's look back at the keys to the game, brought to you by Hormel.
Well, we talked about Texas finishing drives, 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns, a great improvement over a week ago. Defensively, finished plays 4 yards per play. They've been masterful all night until that last drive. Credit the Owls there. Offensively for Rice, convert on third down, 33%. Better than it was a week ago at 29%. And defense, limit explosives, 9 plays of 15-plus yards. Maybe still have some work to do there.
Casey Thompson at quarterback, Daniel Young at running back. And Young on the right side. Young back this week from the ankle injury, the junior from Houston. That is good news for a very thin running back position for Texas. Again, Kirk Johnson's still out with shoulder injury. Jordan Whittington out at least a month, the sports hernia, torn abductor muscle. So they've moved David Benda from linebacker. They've moved Mason Ramirez from safety, but you have Daniel Young back, and that is a boost for Texas.
That's huge. He's coming off that high ankle sprain, which is an extremely painful injury, particularly for a skill player who relies on cutting. There's no real way to support it, so you have to kind of get it healthy with time.
So Daniel Young on the run across the 40-yard line. We watched him practice on Thursday and saw what the Longhorns did, that Young looked pretty good coming back from that tough injury.
You can see him limping there a little bit. He's not 100% healthy. It's going to be a little bit of pain for him. I played my entire last year in the NFL on a high ankle sprain and had to get it shot up before the game and take Vicodin and different other drugs to numb the pain to play at halftime. It's extremely painful, but particularly for a skill player, it's really hard to support it. It's not like a regular ankle sprain where you can just tape it. Anything weight bearing makes it really, really difficult.
Thompson to the outside and slipping away. Here goes Lewis. Kennedy Lewis, the true freshman from Melissa, Texas, with his biggest play as a Longhorn.
He was one of those players we saw on Thursday at practice, Carter. If you remember, great concentration and balance here. Watch him pick himself up with his arm. It's the bottom of his hand, so it's still a live situation. And then he just takes off and gets off on his horse. Coach is going to love to be able to see that. You got some balance like that. When you make plays when given the opportunity, it's always a positive.
37-yard gain for Kennedy Lewis. Thompson 4 for 5 passing. In relief of Sam Elliger, dare I say some motion.
False start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That was the quickest penalty call of the night from Rodney Burnett. I think everybody knew that one.
And that's Denzel Okafor. Remember, he was a player that went to right tackle earlier in the game when Kerstetter went in to replace Zach Shackelford, who we saw earlier, re-injuring the foot that he had in camp, at least with a boot on the sideline. Oh, Coach Hand's going to give him an earful in the meeting now.
Thompson screen on the outside. Jake Smith Rice rallies to the football, Antonio Montero. So, Texas, I mean, the big emphasis from Tom Herman was after the LSU loss to say our biggest goal is to win the Big 12. That begins next week against Oklahoma State, who was 3-0, but a step up in competition for the Cowboys for sure.
The battles of the undefeateds, and this is going to be an interesting Big 12 year. West Virginia looking a little bit better today than we've seen them look. Oklahoma and the Red River rivalry, we know what that is. But how about Kansas with a nice win yesterday over BC? Kansas State with an impressive win today. I mean, this is going to be a pretty good year in the Big 12. We're not going to be necessarily a layup. I was surprised that they thumped Mississippi State the way that they did. That defense for Kansas State is no joke. Those dudes come downhill. They fly around. They're physical. The offensive line has always been well. They could be a factor this year. Les
Miles didn't exactly pull a Sam Ehlinger and say, we're back after the Kansas win. But there was encouragement. Like I said, it wasn't quite that level. Chatting with Larry Fedora, the former University of North Carolina head coach, who's offensive quality control assistant this year with Texas. Been a good move for him. Good move for the Longhorns. Tom Herman effusive in his praise. Larry Fedora coached in Conference USA with Southern Miss as well. Larry Fedora.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Your guy Herb Hand's going to have some teaching moments, AT.
Yep. This is sloppy. They've been pretty clean all night long offensively. See him taking notes there. Sat in their meeting before practice on Thursday, and what a great job he did. The first thing he did for the first 10 minutes was talk academics, what guys had coming up, where they needed to be. Then he made some excuse about getting cleated at practice, meaning one of the players with the cleats took a chunk of skin out and he had his leg all wrapped up and they were having some fun. But he's the perfect blend of being a player's coach where he laughs and has fun, but he coaches the mess out of them. He coaches his guys really, really hard.
Washington knocked away last second. So incomplete at the goal line there. And then our conversation quickly turned to brisket, salt and thyme.
He said salt and thyme may be the best burger I've ever had, as we see Washington there with what could have and should have been a catch. Great job of going up to high point the football. Just didn't have the concentration and hand strength to bring it in.
Well, we know this is within Cameron Dicker's range now. Hit 57 earlier. This is 46, and it is easily good again. So add that to the positives for Texas tonight. Cameron Dicker, and it is 41-6 now.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Pringles. Stack flavors, make new ones. By Rogue, don't weaken. And by Chick-fil-A's new mac and cheese. It's both cheesy and crispy on top. Need we say more?
1-0 the mission for Texas football against the Rice Owls, and with 3:29 to go in the fourth quarter, that mission is in hand. So getting set for the start of Big 12 play against the 3-0 Oklahoma State Cowboys now into the fourth quarter. Chance for reps for a bunch, including Chris Nagar, the backup kicker, who's going to boot this one through, and it is a touchback. So Rice football at the 25. Coyote Tractor gives us a look at tonight's dirty work. Steely Dan's favorite portion of the night, Keontae Ingram.
Keontae Ingram caught the first pass of the game on a flare. Had that big drop. It would have been a touchdown on fourth down a week ago against LSU. Felt it during the game, felt it a little bit during the wink, but talk about bouncing back. Really important for him to show up and play well, and he did.
Dealt with a knee injury in camp, so as we talk about that running back position and all the different injuries that have been sustained by that group, I mean, not even Keontae Ingram 100%. He was the first one to say so, but Ingram with a good bounce back game. Play action on first down. Stewart chased by the Texas D. Hit as he throws, wobbling and incomplete. He would pop from behind. by Tillman, and there was another Rice player down on the field. Looks like Justin Gooseberry, right tackle, down right now for the Rice Owls. We will step aside. (41-6) Texas on Rice here in the fourth quarter. Moments ago, right tackle Justin Gooseberry, graduate transfer from Ouachita Baptist, where he was a D2 All-American. His twin Corey is a senior offensive lineman for the Tigers. Ouachita Baptist, and Justin needing some help, being taken off the field. Coming up next, join CBS Sports Network. In the studio is our team of experts. Break down all the matchups going on around the nation inside college football on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports, including an important injury update on Florida quarterback Felipe Franks' leg injury in that Kentucky game. Aston Walter, left side, shoved out of bounds. You still have the right starters against backups now for Texas, but
the expectation is still the same, and that time the tight end Brendan Suckley got a great perimeter block and sealed the edge there for a nice downhill run, bringing up a very makeable 3rd and 1 situation. This is where Rice wanted to live all night long. They wanted to play keep away. Only 7 offensive possessions versus Army, and almost won the game. Now that was a low-scoring game, 14-7. It's going to be kind of their strategy coming in here. They said that they wanted to take some shots at their corners. They've done that here late in the game, but the pass pressure from the Longhorns just been too much.
Walter across the 40. Yeah, that opener versus Army, I mean, they played the kind of football that they want to play. Physical, tough, close game, 14-7 against Army. Wake Forest got away, won by 20. Obviously, this one's getting away. Yeah, Baylor next, and then Conference USA play begins with Louisiana Tech, who the Longhorns defeated to open their season.
They're a tough team, man. They take on the personality of their head coach. You put any tape on of any offensive line or unit that Bloomgren has coached, and they play physical, including the Rice Owls.
Intellectual brutality, the motto of Rice football under Mike Bloomgren. Stewart over the middle, 1st and 10, left it high for Trammell. So here's your upcoming schedule for the Owls. You're going to be 0-3 taking on Baylor. That game on CBS Sports Network. The Bears have been back to big offensive numbers, and then into Conference USA play against Skip Holtz and Louisiana Tech.
0-2 is a tough hole to dig your way out of, and then you have Baylor next Saturday on our air. Not going to get any easier, but this is what tests you. And it was interesting, man, talking with head coach Mike Bloomgren about how he preaches process all the time to the players. Process. We said, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm focused on results. I'm a coach. We get measured in wins and losses, so I'm talking to them about process. As we see Trammell catch the ball here and move the sticks. As I'm sitting here talking about guys about just, being 1-0 and doing what's necessary, I'm thinking about we got to get ourselves some wins. So I love the honesty and the candor of him, and just the difficulty of being a head coach, of knowing you got to get your team wins, but preaching to them, because at the end of the day, cliches are cliches because they're true, and process is what ends up yielding results. Bloomgren knows that, which makes that 0-2 start all the more difficult.
Spent some time in the NFL with the Jets. He was lined up on the wrong side, then gets back 1st and 10. Stewart going to go to the ear, deep shot downfield. It is caught by Rosner inside the 5. 1st and goal, Rice. Bradley Rosner holds it in from Tom Stewart. Gain of 41.
Rosner beats press man at the left side of your screen. The cornerback misses his punch and redirect, which allows Rosner to get behind him, and then he just wins the foot race with a beautifully thrown ball by Stewart.
That one's on Donovan Duvernay. Younger brother of Devin sets up 1st and goal for the Owls.
Hey, he took his strike, he just missed. You love the aggression, but you got to get that technique down.
Suckley, the fullback. Stewart dropping, fade, looking for Rosner again, and it's incomplete. Well, life of the cornerback. Duvernay comes back and knocks that one away from Rosner in the end zone.
And I love the officials are letting these guys play in a 41-6 game. That was a chicken fight out there. It was nice to see, but to your point, Duvernay with his hands up there maybe just deflects the vision of Rosner, who did a nice job of creating separation. The ball hits him in the hand. Rosner should have caught that football. See if they go right back to him. He's at the top of the screen there.
August Pete in motion. Tom Stewart. That's Walter out of the backfield and into the end zone. Touchdown, Rice. Walter from 4 yards out. Tom Stewart to Aston Walter. The only 2 times Rice has gotten in the end zone, it's been Stewart to Aston Walter. And yes, the game is well in the hands of the Texas Longhorns, but for a team that's about to go 0-3, getting into the end zone a couple of times in the second half makes a difference.
Yeah, we said that we wanted to see if they were going to go back to Rosner. And they didn't. They went back to Walter on the same exact play that they scored their previous touchdown on.
And how about the PAT kick comes from Antonio Montero? So Will Harrison misses the PAT. You bring in your sophomore linebacker. Well, that's why he was Minnesota Mr. Football. He did it all in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. And now Montero, who's your middle linebacker, boots through the PAT. So 1 for 1 as the Rice kicker, Antonio Montero. And yes, Aston Walter, big play, but I mean on a long night for the Owls, that's a good celebration.
Well, you're going to see here, they're going to run this out and clear the way for Ashton Walter. This is what they scored the first touchdown on. Just a great design. Leaves Walter out there all by himself, clearing that flat out. And credit Walter for putting Stewart rather, for putting the ball on the money. Back-to-back touchdowns on the same route concept and play. And Rice throwing the football, having some success finally.
Well, Will Harrison will kick off, so it's not Antonio Montero out there from inside the 5. That's Jamison. Jamison has a seam across the 40, and here he goes. Touchdown, Texas. Deshaun Jamison in his hometown of Houston. 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And Malcolm Roach leads the celebration. That is the speed that made him a track star in high school, an All-American on the football field, cornerback and kick returner. Dicker boots it through. Deshaun Jamison. Welcome back to H-Town, Lamar High School. Deshaun Jamison.
This is all about effort. Keep your eye right here. Hunting up and tracking, coming all the way across the field, trying to find his guy, and finally, bang, gets that block, opens up the middle of that coverage there. Then it's off to the races, even up. As much as Texas is the third phase paying dividends, and that's going to give that Oklahoma State staff and their special teams corps something to think about, because that's a nice little wrinkle to add to what's already a pretty dang explosive offense.
Beautiful run by Jamison. So special teams check that box as well. And then the best part of it all, you get to break it down.
And then dog, do you see me? I was like,
oh. For the first kickoff return for a touchdown since 2012 at Oklahoma State. That's a span of 87 games between kickoff returns for a touchdown for the Longhorns. Just when Rice gets to celebrate a little bit with a touchdown and a PAT, the Longhorns run it all the way back. Tigers kickoff here.
Teaching moments and everything.
Taken by Trammell from inside the 5. Trammell gets out to the 24-yard line. You're in the final minutes. Everybody's getting in on the action. That was Mason Ramirez on the stop. The safety / running back got a scholarship during camp. So that's a good moment there for Mason Ramirez from Round Rock, Texas.
I think that's the best moment in sports. When guys earn scholarships, a complete meritocracy, shows up playing for the love of the game, paying his own way through school, but because of the way that he showed up on a day in and day out basis, based on his contributions, he gets some free schooling. How's it get better than that?
And you know what? Among the guys over there congratulating him, Brandon Jones, senior captain, leader, Sam Ellinger over there. And for the Longhorns who've been here for 4 years and go back, I mean, we had that conversation with Malcolm Roach this week on First and 10. Here's Booker. I mean, about 4 years ago and losing at Kansas and what that was like. And now as you build Texas back to perennial top 15, top 10 caliber team, about all the younger guys going to those seniors and saying, what was it like? So you don't want to know. We never want to go back there again.
Herman's changed his culture. Texas is officially a tough football team. They're not a complete team. They're not an elite team, but they're a team that knows how to practice. They know how to play the game the right way. And as they start to get more experience, they're no more than a year away from being a perennial powerhouse once again.
Booker on the outside. Good run on second down, playing all the way through. Now it's in the books. A 48-13 win. Texas goes to 2-1. The Rice Owls fall to 0-3. 48-13, the final. Number 12, Texas. Well, Sam Ellinger led the way. Mike Bloomgren and Tom Herman shake hands, and now it's all about eyes of Texas for these Longhorns. And moving on to Big 12 play, a commanding performance, all three phases tonight for 12th ranked Texas.
Says a lot about this team that they bounced back the way that they came out. They were in control of this game from the opening kickoff on both sides of the football. That's what Tom Herman wanted to see. His team delivered. Texas is now 3-0 as they enter conference play. 2-1, excuse me, as they enter conference play. And this is what you want. Nowhere on their goal sheet did it say beat LSU. It said win championships, and every goal that they had entering the season is still on the board.
This is an extended handshake session between Tom Herman and the Rice Owls, because there's a lot of folks around Rice who would have come over and congratulate Tom Herman, and he is remembered well from his time, his 2 years with the Rice Owls, and his time in Houston with the University of Houston. And Tom Herman and Sam Ellinger both with Jenny Dell.
All right, Coach, after the loss last week, how pleased are you with the way that this team has responded tonight?
Yeah, they did exactly what we asked them to, which was prepare like an elite team and then come out, start fast, and prove to ourselves that we can be the team that we know we can.
And what about this guy right over here, Sam Ellinger, having another outstanding offensive performance? How would you characterize his play tonight?
Yeah, really difficult defense. Hats off to Rice. They're very multiple, a lot of fronts, a lot of coverages. And again, I've said it a million times. He sees the game about as good as I've ever been around, and really proud of him.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, Sam, over here to you. Over 500 yards of total offense. What did you learn about this team offensively tonight?
We week in and week out, we got to continue to prepare and get better. I think we did that this week. We know when we play our best, we're really hard to stop. We proved that last week, the week before, and this week. So I'm excited to build from this.
Building on it in an important week, you start conference play next week. How can you use this game as momentum to propel you forward to start that Big 12 play?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got Okie State at home, and we proved to ourselves again another game. We should have a ton of confidence in ourselves that when we go out and play really well and play to our standard, no one can stop us.
Congratulations on the win, Sam.
Thank you very much.
The eyes of Texas, they get to hold them high as the Longhorns dominate Rice tonight. So for Aaron Taylor, Jenny Dell, our entire crew, I'm Carter Blackburn. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. So long from Houston. Now take it back to our New York studios inside college football. Brent Stover and Kevin Carter standing by.